Welcome back to I Did This Instead of Killing Myself, stand-up comedy and lifestyle podcast. I host out of my apartment. My name's David Bakker. It is the week of March 28th, 2022, episode 47. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, comment, especially subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate that. We're at 150 subscribers. We'd like to grow the podcast, and I'm trying to do stand-up. So people, unfortunately, people have to know who you are to do stand-up. So it's a little douchey asking for that, but I would appreciate it. Sunday. I'm recording this on a Sunday, and the podcast interview we recorded was also on a Sunday morning. I'm very excited to have my guest today, Adam Schulte. If you've been following the podcast, you'll know that Adam is the first repeat guest that we've had, and I think that's really appropriate. Adam was on episode 8, so if you want to hear our first interview, check that out. But I'm really glad Adam is the first recurring guest because he is the first person that ever believed in me as a comic. And it was very early. So I don't know if he has great judgment, honestly, because, hell, I still bomb all the time. I still say offensive shit. I still am a very new comic. But Adam, the first time I hung out with him at the radio room, it was the second time I was ever on stage. He was extremely gracious, and I, for whatever reason, saw something in me, despite my material being very offensive and just very green. And yeah, we've kept up and become good friends over the last couple of years, actually. Gosh, I can't believe it's going to be 2 years since that. But he's always very supportive. He's a founding member of Stone Grown Comedy. He's our favorite Southern Jew from West Virginia. He's very active as a booker in the scene. And this is we recorded this on the anniversary of his 1-year wedding anniversary. So we got out of the house. And I do want to preface you guys with this interview. We actually we recorded it at like 11 a.m. on a Sunday, and we had it scheduled, and I was like, crap, we got to do that. So I was rolling out of bed. I apologize. The beginning of this interview, my energy is not there. I'm kind of like, we're doing this now? Shit. So anyway, we pick it up, and in this interview, we talk about politics. We get into left versus right, vaccines. I'm more center-right leaning. Adam's more of a center-left. So we get a little bit contentious in the politics of this one. We still love each other. We're still friends. We talked about Schindler's List, talked about movies. We tried to beat Todd A. Davis's record. I don't think we quite got there. It's about a 2.5-hour interview. But anyway, as always, appreciate Adam being on the show. He hosts a mic at the radio room on Wednesdays, and he also books shows around Greenville, including The Flat and any other Stone Grown productions. So yeah, check Adam out. Awesome dude on and off stage. He's kind of like the Godfather. Actually, one metaphor I thought of him as was the the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle guy. I forget the guy that trains the turtles, but he kind of is he a rat in the show? Something like that. But he definitely believes in the new comics and is proud of bringing new comics up. So Adam's great. Check out the interview. Hope you enjoy it. Before we get into the interview, though, here's what's going on this week in local comedy. Local comedy. Tonight, Coffee Underground, hosted by No Expectations Comedy. Travis Dubbin, Craig Holcomb, 7 o'clock. Get there early to sign up between 6 and 6:30. On Tuesday, Art Bar in Columbia, open mic hosted by Patrick Fowler. Starts at 8:30. DM Patrick to let him know you're coming to get on that list. Very fun mic in Columbia, South Carolina. This Wednesday, there's no radio room, but we do have the Disclaimer Stand-Up Stand-Up Lounge open mic. This is in Asheville at the Asheville Music Hall. The show is at 8 o'clock. If you get there early, you should be able to just get on the list. But if you want a point of contact, the person I DM is Carrie Goff on Facebook. Thursday, Jokes Out Loud at the Comedy Zone, hosted by Brandon Rainwater. That show starts at 8 o'clock, $10 cover. Sign up for that is at the Jokes Out Loud Facebook page at 5 o'clock sharp. Also, on Thursday, I'm going to be in Atlanta. There's a show at the Battery at the Park Bench. Catherine Blanford is headlining. I'll be opening. Matt Addy is hosting. And there's some other good Atlanta comics on that. So if you're listening to this, you're from Atlanta, I will be there on Thursday. So check that show out if you can. And then this weekend in Greenville at the Comedy Zone, our celebrity comic is Steve Trevino. He's got 2 shows on Friday at 6 and 9, 2 shows on Saturday at 7 and 9, and 1 show on Sunday at 7 p.m. Tickets available at greenvillecomedyzone.com. All right. That's it for local comedy. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Keep chugging. Keep staying positive. There's bad news out there, but there's a lot of good stuff too, like Adam Schulte. Anyway, here's our interview. Hope you enjoy it.
I'll like clean the house and stuff.
All right.
We're
doing it.
Yeah, we are. Against David's will.
Yeah,
we've been trying to get this recorded for like a month almost, and these things just kept popping up.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's Sunday morning.
It is.
It is February 20th.
It is.
We're recording this.
We are. It's my 1-year wedding anniversary today.
Happy wedding anniversary.
Thank you.
And you're here.
I am.
So
we already made plans.
So how's your marriage?
Clearly doing well. If I'm at a podcast on our anniversary,
yeah,
it's going great. She's not mad that I'm here or nothing.
Yeah.
No, she knew. She knows that I'll schedule stuff and forget stuff pretty frequently. Not on purpose. Like I write it down, and then wherever I write it down, because I have right now at my job, I have this little book for tracking sales and making notes and stuff. I wrote it down for this, that I was going to be here, and I left the book at work.
Wait, when did you realize that you had this today?
I'm one of those people that throughout their entire life will be like, okay, I got all these plans for this time period. And I'll check them off one by one or whatever. And what ends up happening is, unless I have like a list in front of me, like in a real Schindler kind of way, I will forget certain things.
Yeah.
And it's not on purpose. And I'm a pretty busy person. Not like I got to play Xbox for 6 hours to get better at this game. Busy, but like I'm busy naturally. So I will forget things. So
wouldn't it suck if like you were on Schindler's List, but like they mess it up clerically and like you got killed anyway?
Oh, that's
like you know how we get so pissed when there's a clerical error today, like you messed something up at the DMV or something.
It's like the 9/11 of the Holocaust.
It was like
start
was
strong.
On the list, I swear. No, that actually happened in the movie. I watched it recently. His bookkeeper almost. It was supposed to be saved, but he got on a train. They saved him. I
haven't watched that movie in years. It's still like a rough watch.
Yeah, for
the content. I mean, I'll make jokes.
No, it is.
But like I used to say, like, just to be an asshole. People would ask me, "What's your favorite accidental comedy?" I'm like, Schindler's List, and I would just walk away just to make them kind of go, "Ah!" But like that was me being like, this is not when I was doing comedy. This is when I was like much younger.
Yeah,
this is me being edgy.
Yeah,
just me being edgy, but like being smart about it instead of like making a statement that's edgy and then like trying to be like, well, here's why. I would just say and just walk away, which I thought was way more effective.
Yeah,
because then they go, what's wrong? Is he serious?
I wrote a joke about that recently.
What, Schindler's List or me walking away?
Schindler's List and how, because I do like that movie sincerely, not in a sarcastic way. Because I thought it was a really powerful story and everything, and I. but I feel bad saying I like the movie, so I thought that was kind of a weird. And then I made up the joke about it bothering my former Jewish girlfriend, who that's a true story. That I had a Jewish girlfriend. She wasn't bothered by my love of Schindler's
I wouldn't
List,
expect.
but-
Don't feel weird about saying you like that movie.
It's just weird. It's just you really like what do you like about it? Like it's kind of a bummer. You know?
It's one of those. Like my BFF, he and I have watched some of the most like depressing pieces of like art house film humanly possible, and I like all of them. I hate that he made me watch them. I hate myself for watching them.
Are these art house films based on true stories?
A lot of them are, and some of them are based on like hyper surrealistic takes on reality.
Okay.
And I've watched a lot of stuff with him. Like I think we started really like with like Werner Herzog and like Akira Kurosawa. It was kind of our starting point. And then we go further and further and further. There's one movie, it's either Eighth Continent or Seventh Continent. I always get them mixed up because one's the soy milk and one's the movie. And it's about a German family who they rise up to a certain point as far as their status goes. The husband gets to a certain point in the company. The wife's at a certain point in the social circle. The child is hitting certain goals.
This is a World War II movie?
No, this is like set in like the late 80s, early 90s in Berlin.
Okay. So it's just a German movie.
Yeah.
They're climbing this German social ladder.
And then they have this moment where they just go, money is fucking useless. And they start taking their money out of the bank and flushing it down the toilet.
Why do they say it's useless? Because they just don't believe in capitalism anymore?
I think
or the materialism?
I think the illusion of that kind of lifestyle it turns to disillusion. It turns to depression because they have this.
So they get all their wealth and dreams, and then they're like, this sucks.
Yeah, it's hollow. It's like a hollow
Got
existence.
it.
And they all kill each other at the end. Like they poison the child, they poison the wife, and the husband kills. They kill the child first peacefully,
Shit.
and then the wife and husband commit suicide.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, and I fucking cried because
You did?
Yeah.
They're Germans. Why feel sad about that?
So I'm still part German, motherfucker.
Oh, you are?
I'm a German Jew.
You're like Hitler. He was both.
Yeah. No, he was. No, he wasn't.
Is he part Jewish? Is that
I don't know. Like that, I should know. I don't. As much as I love World War II history because I grew up.
That sounds
watching
like
the History
something that
Channel.
like people say, but it's not actually true.
Yeah, that would really bring a whole new definition to being self-loathing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Jews are good at that. We're very good at that.
yeah. But you cried at that story.
Yeah, just because like it was like coming up through like punk rock and hardcore, dystopian landscapes, dystopian culture, dystopian societal norms were always reflected from that music. So film was never something that I knew. Film was something that I never knew a lot about. So my best friend, also named Adam, not someone I made up, but like a real person. He
Like your alter ego.
Yeah, my doppelganger would be significantly like evil. Like in comparison, but they'd be successful. So like I'm good and not successful.
Yeah.
Whereas they're evil and successful, like a really good antithesis. But like we would start watching all these films and trying to pick apart like the deeper meanings of them. And sometimes I'll just get moved. Like, and that doesn't happen. Like music.
I can't
will move
imagine
me.
you crying about anything.
I mean, when my dad died, like
That was the one time I could think of.
I
Death of your
lost
father.
it when my mom died. I lost it. I was a child then. I didn't,
Right.
But like as an adult, I don't think I've cried a ton, but I do.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like I'm so tough I don't have emotion, but like I will.
I can't really feel anything anymore.
Are you serious? Like you? Well, you're living in the American Psycho life. Like you have like you are like, so to put it in perspective, the life that you have now was the life I was predicted to have as a child because of all the achievements I had made up into a certain point in my life.
Yeah.
Before I like lost my mind and was like more or less a borderline criminal, like
right.
psychopath. So you, instead of the little turn that I should have taken to be in like the position you're in, I went a different direction and went kind of like so far down a rabbit hole that I neglected taking care of certain parts of my life, and now I'm playing catch up with it.
You're good now.
No, I'm not even close. Like I'm so far behind most of my friends. But at the same time, I've had the most interesting life in comparison to them. So it was like it was a weird trade-off for the back and forth.
Right. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off. So you're talking about film and emotions.
Yeah, like so film it's an avenue that like I don't know enough about to really have a ton of opinions on in a way that would be concise and and like I would sound intelligent about it. Music I can do all day.
Yeah.
Art, like physical art, like even comic books. I can talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's like stained glass or like things like along the lines of Sistine Chapel or anything from the Renaissance, Baroque art, any of that
Baroque.
Flemish
Dude,
art.
that reminds me of freaking. There's a scene in Beauty and the Beast.
Are we talking about the cartoon or like the
cartoon,
TV show?
Dude, the cartoon Beauty and the Beast. Can you remember? Do you remember where they had like the animated candlestick and the clock, and he was like giving a tour of the palace, and he was like, "This is from the Baroque period, and if it ain't Baroque, don't fix it." So stupid.
I mean, I thought you were going to.
I can't believe I remember that quote, dude. I haven't seen Beauty and the Beast in like 20 years.
I mean, that's
at least.
I mean, at least you're not obsessed with like
25 years
Disney as an adult. Like that's weird to me.
Oh yeah,
weird Nazi worship undertones.
Yeah, that's actually a red flag I look at on dating apps. If there's a girl that like is really into Disney and she's in her late 20s, I'm like, yeah.
Oh, maybe pass.
Like I feel like that's a person that's destined to snap. Like she's probably like, I don't know.
But like, do you think like snap in like a real like dangerous way or like a Facebook screaming at you kind of way?
Snap in like a psychotic way.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, maybe Facebook screaming, not dangerous.
Yeah, like circling back to the point that we keep going. But yeah, art, film's not the biggest thing for me, but music and art and like physical art are more important to me.
Yeah.
So if I don't know something about something, I'll do my best to learn it and go all in.
But the dystopian stuff you liked, that's been punk and hardcore.
Yeah, that came from a real early age. And like I have to give credit. There's like probably 3 or 4 bands I legitimately have to give credit to shaping me.
I want to define dystopian, so like I think I know what it means. Okay. Dystopian's like, when I think of dystopian, I think 1984, like an alternative reality that's kind of a metaphor for the problems that are actually coming or kind of real in a metaphorical sense. Or just straight up not real, like Squid Game is kind of a dystopian picture. Some people think maybe that stuff is real, like rich people.
I mean, that's just Squid Game is more of an allegory or a simile. Let's see if my English degree to work.
Or Schindler's List is a literal historical story, but it is dystopian. Like it's
less dystopian because it reflects something very, very. Very real, something that actually happened, whereas like Squid Game is more of like the allegory, the metaphor for war, which is the whole idea of the rich man's war, poor man's fight.
Okay.
And the only difference is instead of it going to like a physical battlefield, it's you're competing against your fellow man to not be killed over money. So you have money. But like, yeah, it's not like 1984 is a good dystopian way of looking at it. If you look at anything like that's like the Fallout series, for video games.
So Fallout is like after the world is basically destroyed by bombs, nuclear bombs.
Yeah, like
it's the Fallout.
Yeah,
I never played that.
No, yeah, that you pretty much hit the nail on the head. That was really good. We're living.
It's called Fallout, so I guess.
I mean,
was it dry?
You're a smart guy, so you put those two together very quickly.
I'm a genius.
You're very smartly and comfortably dressed. I'm sure that is increased.
It's Sunday at 11.
But like, yeah, dystopian. There's always different ways to paint it. It's always bleak, but one of the things that's changed in the approach to dystopian literature and expressive art is that it's all very clean, and it's so clean and sterile that it becomes bleak. And for some people, they may not see it because it is so sterile, whereas other people are like, yeah, this isn't normal. Like, where is vibrancy? Where is life?
Right. Where's the art, like rough around the edges stuff, like revitalizes communities. Oh, I know so could this be considered dystopian?
What, the podcast?
Yeah, probably. Well, I hope not. I hope this is.
No, this isn't dystopian. You mean like your place?
No. Let me finish, dude.
Sorry. You cut me off earlier.
Like gentrified areas, so they look beautiful. A developer comes in and like has like these complexes and a bunch of like coffee shops and cookie joints and stuff, but there's no vibrancy, there's no art. It's very clean and like pristine and sterile, but there's no like real artistic expression. It's like commercialized and Does that make sense?
It does, and then
Like they did a parody of this on South Park, Sodo Sopa.
yeah. So and really like
That's dystopian in a way.
They just did another episode about the most recent episode about city folk moving to Colorado, which actually reminded me of Greenville, where you have people that are moving from out of town and buying up houses. That are displacing people, and business coming in that are displacing people and making the rent rise. People that have lived like in areas of Greenville their whole life, like gentrification, is a serious issue. And I was thinking about the dystopian thing, the gentrification thing, because of South Park, which I don't know why that show has been so relevant, no matter what, and they just kind of go for it, and it kind of like. They've kind of gone through every single potential protest group possible. I mean, you're talking about like the sterile art everywhere. That really got me thinking that for this particular conversation that like art's not dangerous anymore. It's just not. It doesn't evoke real emotion. It evokes this fake sense of calm. It just kind of like it's a placidity.
What art are you talking about? What?
You say hotel room art, but you're talking about the art in like all these gentrified areas. Like nothing I see there goes, oh, that's really thought provoking.
Nothing seems real. Like
it's
coming from anybody's heart or anything. It's just kind of
it's corporate. It's
corporate. There we go.
Corporate approved art, and we've moved because I know you talk about politics, and we have different politics. But I think since you mentioned about gentrification, I think this one point we might actually agree on is that we have moved from a traditional left and right for politics to extremes on both sides. I mean, we've talked about how, there are extremes on both sides. Mm-hmm. And even in the extremes, like let's say like here's the cutoff line for the right and here's the cutoff line for the left. Well, there's even a subsect, a more extreme version for both sides that are like, I don't like using the term third position politics for the left because it's more applicable to the right. But they both have the left has its own version, which is like a corporate shill neo-lib approach to politics, whereas for their third position example, and then the extreme right is like white supremacy. So like, but in the same respect, the left, the side on the left has more to do with like you better say everything right and not offend anybody.
Yeah.
Whereas the right is, look, we're purposely offensive, suck our dicks. So you have these two combative forces, and like I don't like either side.
No, I don't either. But honestly, like we've talked a lot since the last episode, but I don't know that we talked about politics. The reason
collectivism, I think, was the big theme.
Yeah. The reason I line up more on the right is because of the individual liberty thing and just the smaller government. Government being bad, protecting individual rights and individual freedom. That's it. And I don't know, like that's it, because I see the left as being antagonistic to that.
Both are antagonistic to the other side. It's the approach.
But individual liberty, where do they stick up on that?
On which side, the left or the right?
The left and the right.
The left wants the idea.
They don't want freedom. They want to police thought and speech.
No, they want freedom, but it's a selective freedom.
It's not freedom. Then it's not freedom. It's not freedom.
It's not. But
they'll fucking censor you.
I'm trying to get to the point.
Okay, sorry,
motherfucker.
Sorry.
It's a selective. It's a contextual me freedom, and fuck the rest of you.
No, it's us freedom. You're not on our side.
No,
fuck you.
It's the reason why it's me. They'll collectively say publicly it's us, but privately they mean just themselves or whatever their circle is. Mm-hmm. Whereas the right's like, fuck you, we have money, and we only like the whites. So I mean, like that's
not true.
I'm using the extremes because I'm still basing off the third position politics for everything, but neither side knows what the fuck they're doing, and neither side gives a shit about their fellow man. That's the real bottom line. They don't care. Neither side cares about actual progress, be it advancement for education, advancement for people's lives, advancement for money, advancement for positions and taking care of your local area. It still comes down to the selfish nature of man. It's only presented in the way it's presented, whereas one seems like it's progressive, which the idea of progressive culture is a fucking sham now.
It's regressive now on the left because it's like I don't know. I just don't. if anybody says you have to do something, I'm suspicious of that.
Yeah.
So like if you have to get vaccinated, I'm not saying it's a good or bad idea, but it makes sense to me why people would push back against saying you have to get vaccinated or I'll fire you from your job. Get out of here, bro. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous.
Like body autonomy.
Talk about compulsion. Like
body autonomy is such a weird thing. You see
the side that's supposedly pro-choice. I don't get it.
The body. So that's and like, yeah, that's the other part of body autonomy regarding like the vaccines and the mask mandates and everything. Like the same people. I know there's millions of memes where you see the guy with who's entirely does not have the best diet and has a hat that's just super tight on him and he's like, I'm not getting a vaccine. I want to know what I'm putting in my body. McDonald's and.
Yeah, I'm not saying that people that don't want it they're idiots too. I mean, let them be idiots. This is America.
Yeah,
you could be an idiot if you want. Rod Swanson said that. Like, that's a great line from Parks and Rec. He said, if you want to eat McDonald's every day, develop diabetes, and die, you can. You are free to do so. That's the beauty of America. So if you want to kill yourself by not getting vaccinated, go ahead.
I think the argument of.
What's the government got in that damn vaccine?
I just think the idea of body autonomy being selectively used to prove a point is one of the shittiest things because, like, you see.
Well, yeah, I guess the abortion analogy is cheap, but
I mean that's exactly what I'm touching on. Like, I mean, I will never tell my wife what to do with her body. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like if she if she wanted to have an abortion, we're not pregnant. We're taking all measures against that. We have cats and they've broken my dick. So, but if she wanted to have one, I wouldn't be mad. I'm like, okay, I get it. I'll be there to support you. You know what I mean? Just like the whole mask thing. Like I wear a mask still. I've gotten my booster. I'm going to get a second booster just for funsies. I've got my regular shots, and there's a reason we don't have polio, or now it's making there's a reason why a lot of diseases are gone because of vaccines. You fucking morons.
Well, then make a case, but don't force people.
I think, and that's
especially a vaccine that's been developed in under 18 months.
Do you think the polio vaccine was just like they didn't have the tech that we do now?
I don't know. I'm just saying, at worst, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't like the mandates. Like at worst, it's kind of like forcing somebody to do something that's bad. At best, it's like really bad marketing. Really bad.
Oh, I'll agree.
Really
with that.
bad marketing.
Oh no, I agree with the bad marketing.
It's probably just bad marketing. I'm not saying it's conspiracy, but I'm saying, dude, learn how to persuade people. Like I try to get people in sales. I try to get when I first moved here, like I have ideas about what I'm trying to sell at hospitals, and like when I try to tell Southern folks, like this is a good idea. You should see the looks like you get. Like you can't just force somebody to do something, or like you have to persuade them. That's like you can't. That's why the left is stupid. They're like, this is right. We're right. You're wrong. Don't just.
They used to.
Do you know how to persuade people through arguments and rational?
They used
debate.
To be. No, they don't now. They used to be.
I mean, Republicans
and even
I don't know.
Even the right, both sides at one point in time.
The left won't even debate. They'll just yell at you.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like because. I like the idea of the pendulum swinging back and forth is a good analysis or metaphor or whatever. I'm trying to use my English degree today, really.
Yeah,
bad,
for sure.
And it's not working.
I'm warming up. I got my coffee.
So glad I paid for that.
Sorry, I'm being actually pretty.
But like, persuading people is it's not looked at in the same regard as it used to be. It's always like it's a hustle. It's like a scam. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about like the idea of discourse is spoken about by both sides, but neither side wants to do it.
The right does. I guarantee you, the right
if they are, and to be fair,
they'll invite people on. Like, well, actually, there's people that are kind of centrist, and those are the people that get big followings. Like Rogan's relatively centrist. Jordan Peterson.
I just don't like Jordan Peterson's voice. If I could just read what he has to say, like in like an email newsletter, I'd be more apt to. His voice just fucking sucks. I hate his voice.
I guess the far right, no. The far right's still very like programmed.
Yeah.
I did accidentally watch Sean Hannity the other night, and it's unwatchable.
I like how you said accidentally. That's pretty funny.
Well, I flipped to it, and I was like, I gotta watch this. That was when Anthony Weiner came on. I talked about it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, dude. the Fox News programming is horrible.
It's because we've allowed it. It's because we've allowed a lack of integrity in journalism. It's about
Well,
clicks.
I kind of think it's just like this monstrosity of ratings now that like doesn't mean anything anymore. It's sad a lot of people still only consume that, but like I guess when I say the right, like I'm talking about people that like believe those things and would gladly have representatives from the other side on, but typically they don't want to.
And to be fair, to be totally fair on both sides, the right has more of a set program for like media training. If you look at the two examples, there was the anti-work we're not going to work Reddit, and they were on one of those. I think they're on Fox, and the guy just kind of came off like a blithering idiot. From what I didn't watch it. Okay, don't fucking.
This is on Fox News.
Yeah, and they were on for the debate. And it was like they were just reiterating a point without actually going back and forth. Again, didn't watch it.
Well, dude, that's why I hate some of these network TV shows, because you have like a 30-second to 1 minute segment to make your point, but like there's no like long form like discourse. That's why I like podcasting, because if you had like 2 hours to get through the argument,
or
like
4 to beat Todd's record.
Dude, we're not going 4 hours. We're not.
I know.
But like, yeah, like if it's just that, there's no discourse. It's just like, this is my
take it or leave it.
This is my advertisement. This is your advertisement, and we're just gonna yell at each other. It's got to be soundbitey.
That's the problem. One of the bigger problems overall for not only this country but for modernity in general is we want to have big, lofty ideas broken down into bite-sized segments, and trying to convey deeper ideas, bigger ideas, like things that could be considered little T truths, even up to big T truths. Mm-hmm. You can't do that in like. For Twitter's like 280 characters now. For like news, it's 30-second sound bites.
Yeah.
For Facebook and Instagram, it's memes. Like you can't. I mean, you can get an idea out, but to make it an absolute kind of fucking takes away from the idea of discourse, the idea of having a different opinion, the idea of like, I like 90% of this, but this 10% doesn't make sense, and it's not you can't execute it. Then you get fucking torn up online. Like I don't have like suck me from the back. I don't have time to deal with these fucking morons. Like I'm 42, and I'm more bitter than ever. But like I don't have time to deal with any of that mentality. Like I have a real life to live, and for whatever respect that life is, like I don't have it in me to suffer fools anymore. So even
part
though
of it
I am
is
a fool.
Part of the cool thing. Well, I don't know. I kind of think a solution to this might be to just not talk about the political stuff, because like the issues themselves rarely, to me, come up in everyday life. In like a real tangible way, like if you just have conversations with people about who they are and just don't talk politics, like you can get a lot done that way by just getting to know who somebody is. I don't care what your political beliefs are. Like that's why I like comedy that's not political and stuff.
I think
people are tired of it too,
because everything can be political, but not everything needs to be made that way. It's like Jeff Goldblum in first Jurassic Park about playing God. I can't remember the quote exactly. I was going
yeah.
Not if we could, but if we should.
God creates man. Man creates, or God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man.
It's not a question of if we could. It's
man destroys God.
Something like that. Very weird.
Women takes over the world. Is like she comes in and says that.
Yeah.
Damn it, we butchered that.
I know. It's fine.
Damn it.
We're not restarting the podcast just to do that.
No. Yeah.
Somebody sent
YouTube
David,
the Jeff Goldblum God creates man.
Yeah. Someone we'll paste it. David can paste it in and do the copyright infringement. But I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like I don't think most things that are quote unquote political, it's anything regarding mask mandates and vaccines is a fucking health mandate. It's for the betterment of the health.
No,
it really is. It really is. I'll give you an example.
The mandates?
I think it
is. At threat of losing your job?
No, I'm talking about just the mandates. I haven't gone to the work side of it yet. I'm talking about just the mask mandates in general.
But the mask mandates.
Yeah, I know they've changed since like the initial. I'm talking about the initial part of the pandemic.
I don't think they make any sense.
In a lot of Asian countries, in a lot of Asian countries, China, Thailand, Japan, they wear masks in general before the pandemic.
Is that because of pollution?
Part of it, yeah. Part of it's air quality. The other part of it is just politeness. It's just that they have a naturally more polite society. There's other, I think Singapore does it too. I don't know all the Asian countries do, but I know like a handful. And they're like, oh, we got a mask up? Oh, so it's just a regular day. But then you come here, like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Like, listen, do you need to be in Target that long? Can you not, like...
Oh, maybe you should drop a few £100. Dude.
Yeah, like if you look down and can't see your dick and feet, stop eating for a month. Just fucking stop. You know what I mean? If you sound like every time you take a breath, you're gurgling out bits of ham and cheese, like maybe like work on your health a little bit. And that idea when you say something, someone's like, you're fat shaming. And I'm like, no, I'm not. This is basic fucking health. Basic health says don't eat like garbage or these problems are going to happen. And if they happen... You know, you reap what you sow. Like I got to drop another 30 pounds to be exactly where I want. Mm-hmm. Full stop. I need to quit smoking because it's bad for me. Full stop. I know. Listen, donuts are amazing. I love pastries. I like eating late at night because I'm weird about eating in the morning, which I need to get over. I know smoking's bad for me. Mm-hmm. I exercise, I drink a lot of water, I take my vitamins, but there's a...
So you're cool with the mandates as a public health thing?
Yeah, I don't think basing it on your job. I do take it. It's the same as like living in the South, where like a job we're a right to work state. Motherfucker, this is America. If you have a valid ID for America, you have the right to work in America. That's all it is. The idea of right to work is...
Well, yeah, but before you get over that, like okay. I don't...
I'm very passionate about that next
No, time. But we talk about dystopian.
Yeah.
Forcing people by order of the Board of Public Health to wear masks and get shots. That sounds like a fucking movie, dude. And I don't... and the reason, I mean, I don't know. By now, like... it seems wrong to me, and I think average people are starting to feel that way too. And regardless of the politics, like
I'm not even looking at it from the
forcing. You can't even see their faces. People walking around like drones, not being able to like.
Do you know how cool it is to steal from big box stores with these masks on?
Exactly.
I've been telling this bit pretty much since the beginning of the pandemic. I'm not going to do the bit, but it's about how much I love to steal from places now that we have these masks and gloves. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I look at it. I mean, I might have a part where, like, because Dexter is now on, it was got uploaded to stream. And, like, you can kill somebody and get away with it because no one will know it's you. Yeah. This very long bit about why I like the masks and the gloves and the public health mandate. Like, we're still dealing with people that like are immunocompromised, and I'm not saying that like they don't deserve life.
I get that, but have they been vaccinated, and are they masking up? Like, they could vaccinate and mask up themselves.
Some of them, right? Some of them can't just because of the health conditions. But as far as the mask part, yeah. But
so why can't you just get vaccinated, vaccinate yourself, and then the idiots who don't want to get vaccinated can circulate, give it to each other, and then the pandemic's over?
Well,
like, why can't that just happen?
Well, part of that makes too much sense, and the other part of it is that the people that are immunocompromised are physically unable to get the vaccine. I have a lot of sympathy for them.
Okay, yeah. Why can't they get a vaccine? The vaccine will kill them?
Yeah, because a lot. No. Here's why. Here's why. Like I'm going to expose something about myself very quickly. I have ulcerative colitis. If I take my medicine, my immune system goes away for 6 months. Like if I have like a big UC outbreak, if I have a big flare up, I have to take my medicine, and then like my immune system is compromised for on average 2 to 3, but up to 6 months. So I just go for the extreme because it's easier for me. Like, okay, so I got 6 months till my immune system is back to normal, especially if I have to keep taking my my meds for it. And I haven't taken them in years, mostly because I've changed my diet. I exercise. I drink a lot more water. I take better care of myself, except for the pastries and cigarettes. But if if someone has COVID and coughs around me, I could fucking die. Like I want to die by either my own hands or like at the right end time. So for people like me that have do have those issues,
sure,
it's a lot harder for me to be against, at the bare minimum, wear a fucking mask. Like first of all, I think we all know these masks are not doing a ton. It's fucking cloth, right? If you're wearing the Bane mask, That might be helpful.
No, it does. Yeah.
But like
N95 protects better than the.
Yeah, but even then, like you're not. So I've worked a lot of industries where masks were required to begin with. So it's not like this mask thing is new to me or even odd. Like when I've worked certain food jobs, like, hey, you got to wear a mask because we're around food. Like, okay, you got to wear gloves too. All right, that makes sense. People are gross. We're germy. When I worked in certain healthcare fields, I had to wear masks. So if I was sick or had a cold, people who were like more susceptible to getting sick. Not a new concept. When I work construction, I'm around chemicals that could go into my nose and into my lungs that could make me sick.
Yeah,
so
but dude, all of society being required is very different than what you're describing.
I know,
so,
but like maybe it's my comfort level of wearing a mask. I mean,
I get it,
and that's a.
I don't want to be a dick either. Like it sucks. Like COVID's. I'm not saying like COVID's like a hoax or like.
It's not.
I just really hate how it's been sold, these mandates. It's like and marketed. I think it's been done like it's one of the most horrible do as you're told. And like I don't know what they expected. Like this is America. People get so pissed anytime you tell them to do something.
Fake mad.
Like
but,
we revolted against the British over tea taxes
and religion and Jeebus. But the thing you keep saying that I find fascinating throughout our conversation is this idea of marketing. That I think marketing and persuasion are the two things that you brought up have been the coolest things so far regarding this in general. So I like that.
Do you agree with that though? That it's been badly. The Biden administration said this is going to be the winter of death. If you've been vaccinated, pat on the head. If you haven't, it's going to be death for you, your loved ones, and anybody you've ever met. Like that's what they said. There was a statement from the White House.
This is one reason.
Ridiculous.
No, I'm not disagreeing. That's
ridiculous.
That's why I don't watch the goddamn news.
That's not the news. It's just a statement from the president.
But I mean, like it's presented through the lens and perspective of a news channel. But even the former administration.
I think it was on the White House Instagram account, so I don't think there was an intermediary. I think it was just Biden administration.
Like Twitter and Instagram are as real as God at this point. Like they're not.
Yeah.
They're a great concept, but they're not tangible. But the idea of we're marketed so much in general about what is and isn't that the idea of having your own thought about something or even disagreeing puts you on the outs of most groups. You become that social pariah for being like, let's actually examine this a little further. I don't mean like do Wikipedia research and buy a pair of Oakleys and get in a pickup truck and make YouTube videos about all the research you've done.
Yeah.
But the idea of marketing basic ideas about health is a bigger issue. And I want to get to the work part in a minute. I want to knock this last bit out while my brain's still working. You keep on bringing up persuasion and marketing. This is not a marketing. You're not selling me a new toilet. You're not selling me on this new idea of banking or NFTs like we were talking about before the show. This is a public health thing, and it was never treated like a public. Like, look, this could eradicate large swaths of human beings on the planet. This is what we need to do. We don't know everything. We're trying to keep everyone safe. If they had just been honest about it from the get-go, which they weren't, I mean, it was something brand new we didn't know. It looked back at the AIDS crisis.
Maybe it was just clumsy is what it was.
It was
clumsy rollout.
Clumsy.
And the clumsiness initiated skepticism.
Yeah.
And then there was a fallout of social media fighting. That's kind of what it felt like to me.
And it became this idea of politicized anger.
And then when it got really messy, they just said, fuck it, you have to get it. And then that's when everybody was like, no. And then...
Well, look at the AIDS crisis. For years, it was called the gay cancer because it was so prevalent in the gay community.
Right, and nobody knew that you could totally get it as a heterosexual. It doesn't matter.
Or an intravenous drug user. Like there were other ways of getting it other than just being part of the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
So we're treating COVID the same way we treated AIDS, but the difference is the technology has been caught up to where you can catch things in all things easier, and there's new diseases. Here's the thing: there's new diseases being made and new health problems being made every day. Some of which are real, some of which are like
gain of function research in the Wuhan labs.
Well, no, like every med that I see advertised, like, are you tired in the morning? Are you hungry? Do you have to poop 30 minutes? It's always these things that like are obvious things, like, oh, I do have that, and then people
so they're creating drugs for.
I think some of it
Disease,
is.
they create disease and then the drug to fix it. Kind of.
I think that's part of it, or it's all a fear-based placebo to where we're tricking each other into having these problems. Like
For sure.
like mental health is not. Mental health is important. Mental health is fragile, but it's not so hyper fragile that we need to have a million fucking drugs that we don't know what are going to do for the long term for these people. Like I'm supposed to be on mental health drugs. I'm supposed to be on. Yes. That's why if I sound like a lunatic, I can always chalk it up to that. But I don't take them. I just don't take them. I keep a stash of them as needed if I go into a state, but it takes a lot to push me to that state. So even though I need to be on, they're pretty extreme.
Yeah.
They're pretty extreme what I need to be on, but I don't take them, and I don't come off like a psychopath. I don't come off like I'm a full joker. I don't come off like that because I've learned to work with the world, work with what I got, and control it.
Yeah.
And that's something we're not teaching people is control.
How did you get diagnosed with the mental health drugs that you were prescribed? Was it therapy, psychiatry, or actually, what's the difference? Psychiatry, you can get diagnosed drugs, right? Therapy is like not that.
Yeah. But you can always get recommended to see this person for drugs.
Okay.
I should know this considering I worked in mental health for some, but I worked in like the one-on-one intensive home treatment group home setting. So I got diagnosed with like really severe depression after my mom died.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. So it's depression meds.
It started with that. And then as I got older, like there was worry that I had dissociative identity disorder, schizophrenia, multiple personalities, because I just made up friends. Like it was these doctors
shit.
There's these doctors
you
that
did?
Yeah, like who the fuck didn't have an imaginary friend or talk to like their favorite GI Joe?
How old were you?
I was like single digits to like 11, 12.
Okay.
Like not like last week. You know what I mean? It wasn't like only my weapon understands me. It wasn't like one of those things.
This reminds me of the South Park episode too, dude. Butters has like imaginary friends, and he's like, "Who am I speaking with, Butters?" Yeah, I'm Fireman, Butters. Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, "Oh my god." And then they were like prescribing him all this shit. I'm like, fuck yeah. He just had imaginary friends. It was totally normal.
I'm supposed to be on ADD meds for a long time. Like I'm 7. I'm a child, and what we've allowed is again the corporation to tell us like the minute you're not in this perfect mold of what is considered to be normal by modernity standards, which were not made up by actual people, but in like a echo chamber of potential facts and figures that are skewed to make whatever viewpoint and lens fit that. So that's all things that have been tailored for that. It's like I'm supposed to be on these meds. I'm absolutely supposed to be on them. I'm not taking them. Not because like I'm a free thinker, but it has more to do with the fact that I've developed coping mechanisms. I've developed outlets. And that's the thing that we're not pushing in mental health. We're pushing the pill quick fix. We're pushing we're pushing everything but examining the problem.
Dude, I agree completely. Like the outlets thing as an antidote to like all of this is really powerful.
It is. It's not for everyone. Like there's some people that truly need that help.
Yeah, some people are just content consumers. I don't know.
I mean,
they're not creators.
Well, not just that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's content consumers. It comes down to this idea of like, it's almost as if a lot of the people that don't have the outlets, they've been forced to have this perspective that they're helpless, and they don't, and they're either not worthy of having these outlets or they're not for them. This fix is only for you versus trying new things, and I think that's.
So when we say outlets, what are we talking about?
Like, so we have comedy.
Physical outlets like exercise is a good psychological health pillar.
Oh yeah.
Creative outlets, people like that do kind of like we do.
There's emotional outlets,
like relationships. A stable romantic relationship is a good one. Family.
Even food outlets.
A good job to.
Financial outlets. Yeah.
As long as you cover the bills. There's some statistic that once you have enough money to keep bill collectors away, your happiness doesn't increase proportionally to the increase in wealth above that. I mean, lot.
You can keep bill collectors away with a well-aimed rifle. I mean, there are options.
Well, you know what I mean.
I know. I just want. I'm just being me.
But a lot of people, like, probably have money to at least do that, and their basic needs met, but they're still unhappy. So those outlets become important
because they're forced to. They're told they're unhappy because they don't like. I know you've heard the expression "keeping up with the Joneses."
Yeah, dude, that's social media, dude.
It is now. It's FOMO. The other term, and YOLO. I sound like a boomer right now. 42, not a boomer. Gen X. We're just kind of forced into these perspectives where if you are not inside this perfect little box for whatever the context of the conversation or the position you are in life, if you're remotely outside of that, you're looked at and labeled as an outlier that does not deserve or even need to be considered for any sort of help because you're going against the grain.
Yeah,
and that's wild. And now that we can finally circle back to the job portion about the mask mandates and people losing their jobs, I feel the same way because I'm about to talk out of both sides of my mouth. I feel the same way about mask mandates and vaccines as I do about drug tests for jobs. And
interesting. How do those compare?
Because they're fucking invasive and they're my goddamn business. It's my body. It goes back to body autonomy. Now, there are certain jobs where I think you should have to have the vaccine. And I mean that 100%. This is not me being shitty. This is me being very honest. If you're working with people, if you're working
in a hospital,
law enforcement, military. By the way, guys, if you're in the military and you're like weird anti-vax, you get 1 million shots before you go over to whatever country you're assigned to. Just an FYI, we've been doing that for years and no one seemed to have a fucking problem with it. So, sorry, I'm about that. If you're working in the food service industry, I think you should because that could taint food products going out to everyone else. I understand that. I'm not going to be against that. If you're a warehouse worker for Amazon, who should be unionized, I'm pro-union. This is why the South hates me. I have a different take on it. If I think you should at the bare minimum wear fucking gloves. And I think you should at the bare minimum, wear the mask. I don't think you should be forced to get the vaccine. But if you're bitching about like, the mask makes it hard to breathe, I can't breathe. If you can talk, you can breathe. I'm tired of hearing that I can't breathe thing. The people that couldn't breathe, that were dying during the pandemic. You look at George Floyd; he was struggling to breathe. What's the other guy that
what if George Floyd had to wear a mask?
I mean, we weren't there for that, but what's the guy
that would make the world explode? Like he died because of the mask, but
that would put everything in an even crazier position. But the guy
that would make the left and right like cross.
It would be wild. There was the guy that
like the right would be like we love George Floyd and the whole because the right was on the side of the actually no nobody was on the side of that cop, but
yeah, and
that was just horrible.
I've been watching Vice and The Guardian because as much as I despise,
I forgot how messed up 2020 was. It's been a while,
yeah.
But that was a messed up.
Even I forget the guy's name in New York.
Derek,
Hands Up.
Hands Up, Don't Shoot guy.
Hands Up, Don't Shoot, and the other guy who got arrested and eventually died because he was selling Lucy's, and he was choked to death. And he's like, I can't breathe, and he was struggling to breathe and talk to tell people I can't breathe. So when people talk about the idea of, I can't breathe because of this fucking like paper thin mask, go fuck yourself. Take yourself with yourself. Fuck yourself. I don't want to hear that because what you're saying is you're being a bullshit contrarian for no reason. Like you're saying something to be like you're mildly inconvenienced. Like fuck off. If protecting your fellow man means you have to wear a mask for 15 minutes in Target, and that's too much to ask of you, you're probably a selfish piece of shit to begin with.
Yeah, I'll roll with shit like I don't know. I'm actually pretty easygoing about this stuff in real life. I prefer to not. I mean, I just want it to be over, kind of.
It's not. We won't let it be over, though. We don't want it to be over because people want to be afraid. They're choosing.
People want to be in their.
They're choosing
their
cowardice.
cocoons, so they don't have to go back to lives of responsibility.
Yeah,
and working because working sucks.
Working is whatever. It's a way to fill time between creative outlets. That's really how I've always seen. It's a way to pay the bills, which are a fucking weird concept. Bills as a concept are a weird idea to begin with. If you really sit back, like, why the fuck do we have taxes and bills? And that goes
taxes. I agree. Bills make sense to me. Bills make sense. You get a bill for a service.
Bill is a life tax.
No, it's not. Like, what bill don't you like?
All of them.
All
of them.
Bills correlate to services and goods. Like,
yeah, but
I use my cell phone, so I should probably pay to use it.
I mean, I'm talking about the concept. I'm not talking about the execution. Like, they make sense, but like the idea of where they came from, it comes from a probably more iniquitous place than we actually want to really examine. Because it used to be like you would the bartering system where you would go like work on someone's farm. Like, okay, we're good, we're square. That concept is not is
okay.
In the
Well,
land
this
at
is
point.
interesting. The barter led to the development of currencies.
Yeah.
Eventually, precious metals, and claims on those precious metals. And then that led to fiat currency, which led to more and more exchange manipulation of that. And that got us to crypto.
And now
eventually.
and now we're NFTs.
Dude, yeah, which I was...
I know it's where you're going. Let's talk crypto and NFTs.
Let's talk NFTs, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited to like drop what little knowledge I know about this bullshit is.
Well, I just kind of want to talk it out because I don't know that much either. But I was at a friend's lake house yesterday.
Ooh, fancy.
I don't know why I said lake house.
Charcuterie? Was there a charcuterie board?
It's charcuterie. Yeah, that
was there one there?
Charcuterie is no.
Was there sushi?
Dude, the guy that was into this is he's 25 years old. Like, he's super gung ho on it.
Cocaine and vodka. All right.
And I woke up. No. And I woke up like, this all sounds ridiculous and stupid. But
it is.
But it also not that crazy in other ways. So,
what do you want to start?
Where to start?
You want to start with crypto, and then move to NFTs, or move to NFTs and then move?
Well,
to
I think
crypto?
they're interrelated. So, when I look at anything, like how we do anything today, it's all kind of based on ownership and exchange.
Okay.
So, like, this is a condo. I have an address. I have a key to get in. It's mine based on a contract that will be honored by the government or the local or the state. So all those institutions, it's implied, and people believe in that. Like, I could buy a house, and that'll be honored by everybody. Everybody just believes. It's just a network of people that recognize that that's a thing. That real estate, same as like the car. Like, you bought a car, you either borrowed money or you own it.
Yeah, you bought debt.
And there's all these institutions that are set up around it. So then I look at, you buy in what type of medium of exchange? U.S. dollars.
Yeah.
So we have this pandemic, okay? Then trillions and trillions of U.S. dollars are being printed to pay people to not work because of the health crisis. That's devaluing the U.S. dollar. So that's making... No, it is. It is.
There's other factors.
40% of all U.S. dollars that ever been printed were printed in the last 2 years.
No, I'm not. I'm saying.
So what I'm saying is the value of the U.S. dollar is going down relative.
It's been going down for a while.
No. It's going down exponentially in the last 2 years. So what I'm saying is now there's a push towards an alternative, and cryptocurrency is like a potential answer to that. Meanwhile,
it's a weird answer. So,
because crypto can't be manipulated, it's decentralized.
Yes, and
so this is the first time crypto, I don't know, kind of.
So, I mean, let me circle back on the idea of the U.S. dollar going down. It fluctuates. Money in general is a belief in something. If you break it down, the idea of the value of currency is a belief in something. Typically, it had like a standard to back it. I know we went off
like gold because gold is a fixed supply.
Yep, and we went off the gold standard. I think genuinely that has more.
That's
to
fucked
do.
things up because once you detach it from the fixed supply,
Yep.
then you don't know how much a dollar is going to be able to buy you. You don't know if a dollar is going to, if a dollar can get you a candy bar today, or if now candy bars cost $100, and that fluctuation creates crazy instability in supply chains and markets. So you don't want to fuck with the dollar.
Yeah,
but people are horribly today.
Yeah, look at. I mean, the most modern example, other than
Inflation.
crypto,
Like, look at how much stuff is right now.
you can always look back at like Germany after World War One.
Yeah.
People were paying.
Weimar Germany.
People were paying for bread.
Wheelbarrows full of paper money.
Yeah. So crypto, it is something that
Fixed supply, right?
Yes and no.
In Bitcoin, it is.
Yeah,
The others are not.
Yeah,
Bitcoin is.
Yeah, make sure like so people don't think that we're just being painted with a broad brush. There are certain kinds of.
My understanding of Bitcoin is that it was like miraculously created because nobody knows who made it, and it was decentralized, and
So
the rules are pretty fixed. It's not great for exchange. Like gold's not great to exchange with people, but it is a good store of value.
So crypto, from my perspective, started even before Bitcoin. I worked at a video game retailer store, a large corporate video game retailer store.
GameStop. Can I say it?
You can, I can't.
Okay, it may have been GameStop.
Because they'll get mad at me.
Really?
Because I'm not gonna shit on them, but I'm gonna say a few statements that their focus groups may not jive with. There was a point where, and they still have it, digital currency was not a new concept. So you buy like a $20 card for like Roblox, and you'd have $20 worth of in-game currency for whatever, or any of those little PC games, or even like a downloadable content for like Call of Duty or Halo. That was still a digital currency that had a assigned value based off of insert currency for that area, wherever you, whether it was like in Europe or Asia or America, wherever you bought it, Australia. That was essentially the beginning of cryptocurrency because it was an assigned idea of a dollar. Bitcoin came about, and Bitcoin was even used for years.
Right.
It was sold by GameStop unbeknownst to them because you would have like these multi-game packs that could require currency. So you could throw $20 down on this thing, and you could apply it to like your Roblox. I'm using Roblox as the only thing I remember off the top of my head, but Bitcoin is one of the options.
Right.
So they were selling Bitcoin. So you could buy $20 worth of Bitcoin, 20 Bitcoin at GameStop because they would have these multi-pack games that would require, or these multi currency packs that you could just apply to whatever. So that was the initial start of it. Then it became like a drug trade thing. It became a drug trade thing for like the Silk Road. And the big thing that the Silk Road really did outside of the murder for hire plot, which by the way,
I don't even know what you're talking about with Silk Road.
All right, so the Silk Road was really the biggest. Like the dark web is known for like a handful of things.
But is this going to take us off on a whole other thing? Because
no. This I'm giving my history, my affiliation with crypto, and like what I know about it. So you had like the dark web, which was a decentralized marketplace for the most part. A lot of bad things on there, but the biggest thing that was focused on was like the drug trade. So people were using crypto, i.e. Bitcoin, to as the main one. I think it was the only one at that point to take the violence out of the drug trade, and it did. It just straight up did. It was done through the mail. I don't care about your feelings on it, but it took away a lot of the violence from that, which was the biggest part of people get mad about the drug trade is the violence with it.
How did it take away the violence? Because there was a stable...
Because they held things in escrow, kind of like you do like when you buy a house. So you'd get your money, you'd buy X amount of Bitcoin, you would buy X amount of whatever you're looking for, and they would go to that digital wallet. It would go through a brokerage, which would be the Silk Road, and they would hold it in escrow until your product was shipped, and then you could say yes, it's there, and then it would be distributed to the seller, and then they could sell that crypto for actual money. And now as crypto has grown,
so instead of like old school drug deal, you give me the drugs, I give you the cash, and we both got guns on each other, so there's no funny business. It's this secure transaction.
Yep.
That's viewable, verifiable, traceable, so we don't have to shoot each other over it. I got it.
And that's when the government really started to get involved with crypto. Initially because of the Silk Road and like their offsite shoots of that, because it was now taking money that could be absconded with through like government seizure. What's the term? Where civil forfeiture. It eliminated any sort of governmental oversight or reach to get onto it until the Silk Road got shut down during the Obama administration. That's not me saying anything bad about the administration. That's when it came to a head. And the government wants to have this control over this decentralized currency because what it does is it genuinely skews the whole idea of currency on a worldwide scale.
Right. Okay. Exactly.
And that's
because what are currencies really they're backed by individual governments.
Yeah.
So the dollar versus the peso or the pound
or the yen or the baht or whatever. So like that's why decentralized currency is so terrifying to a lot of governments.
Right.
Because it could destroy infrastructure, but at the same time it could rebuild infrastructure for and I don't like saying a redistribution of wealth, but a way to help facilitate and build a new form of financial stability for people who in one aspect are extremely infirm, but on the other side of the coin are prepared for potential high dollar earnings based off this idea of a finite digital currency that doesn't exist, but it does exist because there's the idea that if I have this, it's worth more. It holds a monetary value.
There's something I don't understand fully yet about the energy aspect of Bitcoin, how there's a tie between the real world through the energy required to verify the transaction. So in other words, to mine and create Bitcoin, you need energy to do it, which is a tie to the real material world.
I've heard so many arguments about this that NFTs and crypto are destroying the environment, but I've heard
not destroying the environment. I'm not talking about that. But I'm saying, so basically yesterday the epiphany I had was I could picture a digital universe that mirrors everything in this one.
A metaverse, if you will.
A metaverse, exactly. Where so this is what it is. So Bitcoin is like the bars of gold backing everything because there's a fixed supply of it. The other cryptocurrencies are like other continents or countries where continents are trading those other currencies relative to one another. But the rock solid basis of it and the bridge that gets us from this world to the next one is Bitcoin through the energy thing. So, and the metaverses are basically worlds where you have digital planets, real estate, whatever that's going to get colonized with claims on these different digital locations and how do you value those digital assets in cryptocurrencies, which are going to be there's going to be an exchange where whatever ones win out, Bitcoin being the backing to it. Bitcoin backs all of it, and then these different cryptos are used in these different countries. Like if you go to, I just went to El Salvador, they accept dollars, they accept other stuff too. Or you just like today in the real world, you go to other countries and they use different currencies. Yeah. But gold could back it theoretically. Yeah. So it's just the same exact world we live in now, just extrapolated up a level. And that idea kind of made sense to me, because we already live in a really digital world today, social media.
We live in a pseudo digital world.
But social media has kind of crystallized what the internet is. I remember, you remember when the internet became a thing. Yes. Before social media, there was just websites. There wasn't even search engines to help organize the data.
There was just random media, it was bulletin boards. It was different message boards.
Yeah, but when the internet first came around, you had to know the actual website address to get anywhere. Google changed all that because Google was a way to organize and file the data. And that's why Google became so big. And then after Google, it was social media companies like Facebook that allowed. And to me, what was the biggest defining characteristic about Facebook that made it? To me, it was the exclusivity. You had to be part of this club.
Yeah, you had to be a college student.
Yeah, you had to be a college student.
Yeah,
and then that's what made everybody want to be it. And then it was a claim, which what is exclusivity? It's just a claim on this little piece of digital thing. This is my Facebook page, and my friends can access it. It's just a way of categorizing the data. To me, the crypto thing is just extrapolated one level up. It's owning digital assets with claims on it with a really solid digital currency like Bitcoin. Yeah. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And
it's just the next evolution. To me, before yesterday, I never got the value of Bitcoin because I couldn't picture people engaging in the metaverse. But now I picture people jumping to that. I could see that happening. So then, of course, Bitcoin's valuable because you need a currency to value the exchanges that are happening in this technological world. So in other words, if all the Bo Burnham has a song on his album called White Girl's Instagram. This is a white woman's Instagram, and how dystopian that is.
I watched 5 minutes of that special and turned it off. By the way,
being on the metaverse and like, look at the shit I have on my metaverse instead of look at my story, look at my post. If it becomes look at all my shit on the metaverse,
I'll fucking hang myself.
Then you need a digital currency to track what you own.
I'll hang myself with my dick out. Like
that's the governments aren't going to do that. So crypto, Bitcoin backing it, and all the other cryptocurrencies they're exchanging in those, because that's what secures the ownership idea. Is how those blockchains work. So, dude, once the white women Instagram flock to the metaverse, Bitcoin and crypto, whether you like it or not,
I don't like the live, laugh, love energy that's going.
It's going that way. I'm gonna make some comedy NFTs, bro.
Good.
Dude, Travis, I gotta talk to Travis about this.
All right, you should. So
sorry, am I
I know
exhausting you with this?
No, I had points that I lost throughout the whole thing.
Well, but does that analogy make sense? Because I'm trying to follow it. The other analogy is
the
music. Okay, so songs.
Yeah,
those used to be on records,
digital, cassettes, CDs,
then MP3. And you remember when the internet happened? It was. All the musicians were pissed because Napster just file sharing, anybody could have it. And then it had to get monetized, legitimized through Apple Music. And then all of a sudden there was a way to capture revenue and ownership kind of.
Right. So the idea
it's the same thing.
The idea of Bitcoin having value, it's the same idea as like a Monet having value. Same concept. We're just putting a different tech spin on it. It's no different than like I can say that I have records that are worth hundreds and thousands respectively of dollars. I have comic books that are worth hundreds to thousands of dollars because of rarity. And that
scarcity, rarity.
Yeah, it used to be based on scarcity and rarity, which is no different than like Bitcoin or NFTs. The only difference is I can physically hold mine. Like I can pull it up and be like, this is something I physically own. It's out of this many made.
So it's weird. This is the Matrix.
So yeah, sure. I wasn't trying to be glib. The Bitcoin is just a digital extension of that. And now, if Bitcoin is a digital extension of money, NFTs are the digital extension of art, which is like the records or the comic books. And like NFTs, like I know what they are, I know what their purpose is, and I know what they can be used for. But I think the idea of putting so much faith in it, as the be all end all. And that's the problem that we've run into. We put so much faith in like the digital side of our lives as the be all end all true expression of finality. Like there's nothing past this. This is the end of the road.
Well, see, I want the digital world to work out because I don't want to die or age. So like,
you want to preserve your brain and go into
I want to put my brain. Remember Futurama when Nixon's head is in the thing? I want to be that guy.
Literally just watched that episode last week. So
really,
yes, yeah. My wife and I will revisit Futurama.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Like Red versus Blue and a couple.
See, I want the metaverse thing to work out so that I can live forever and my consciousness is in the metaverse.
I'm more of a Frank. It's always sunny. Always sunny.
That's what I think they meant in the Bible when they talked about heaven. Like that's the paradise of. What if it was?
We're talking about things that don't exist.
What if God was like, yeah, that's what I meant. The metaverse, that's heaven.
Like, oh yeah,
that's what it was.
I think you guys will understand the ones and zeros in the binary.
Like Jesus was just talking about.
You don't know what brushing your teeth is. I don't think
what Zuckerberg's coming out with now. That was heaven. That was it.
Like NFTs. Like I don't see the people talk about the energy uses for Bitcoin and NFTs about how it's destroying the environment. I don't know if that's actually. I don't know if that's a fear tactic to keep people down because we're running into the same thing even with Bitcoin and NFTs that we're running into with modern day capitalism. It's the same thing. It's about this control for keeping the have-nots from being remotely close to being one of the haves. It's the same concept of human greed and subjudition.
Well, a lot of third world countries are excited about crypto because it's allowing them to become more legitimized.
Yes,
like El Salvador, where they have adopted Bitcoin as official currency.
But it's the same. But the same concepts that work with physical money, and the same concepts that work with physical subjugation, and the same concepts of marginalizing people. It's going to go from whatever it is in the physical world, like money, art, your bank account, how much gold you have, property. The only thing that's changing is it's going to a digital space.
I agree. So the same people that are like in control are going to be in control in the real.
Yeah,
that
it's not. There's no fucking difference.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
and some people, there are going to be people that.
But the early adopters could actually.
Yes, but they're also going to be the thing that they hate in the long run. They don't realize it if they don't take the right steps, they'll become the thing that they hate.
That's exactly what happened with Zuckerberg. Like he used to be kind of the cool outsider, and then now he's like just one of the other douchebag tech billionaires.
Well, lizards are always lizards. They're not going to change. So.
Yeah.
He's a lizard person. Don't cancel my Facebook account. Or do. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
9/11 was an inside job. Ghislaine's next. She's going to be suicided. But like that's the thing about NFT. The whatever. It's the whole idea of what once was old is new again. So after the crypto boom, which is probably going to happen, which is happening, but after a certain point, like we'll say 5 years, is an even number. It's going to. I don't want to say become regulated, but or become destabilized, but it's going to hit a certain plateau where it's going to stay at that plateau for an extended period of time, and then it's going to go back to the physical, and then people are going to not look at the crypto side because like, oh, now we have these physical objects, these physical parameters that we can touch, taste, smell, whatever, and then when that time period runs its course for that context, it's going to go back to the digital. And it's just a pendulum. It's going to go back and forth.
I think it might go back and forth, but I think it might go back and forth like on a ladder towards the technology.
Well,
just like how the internet, like in 2000, there was a bubble and it crashed. It wasn't that the internet was over. No, hell no. But it was like the hype around early internet stuff was overblown. Just like the hype around NFTs. People paying millions of dollars for Bored Apes is freaking stupid. Probably. I mean, it seems stupid.
I'll say it like this. I think the idea of digital asset reproduction and distribution is good. There's some people that just don't want. I think
it's pretty sound.
People don't want physical. Like I'm trying to sell off half my records because I have too many of them. I'm trying to sell off half my comic books.
And
I have too many.
People don't want to, and they're not wanting the physical.
I don't think it's that. I think it's that they want the physical because they want some sort of like backing that they can show.
Yeah.
For like either some form of collateral, but the digital kind of lets you keep that way more private and away from the eyes of people.
It's kind of happened across over the years. I mean, I remember when you used to fly.
Stocks aren't a physical thing.
No. Wait, hold on. When you used to fly, you used to have a printed boarding pass. And I remember specifically like the first time I was flying by myself or like when I was younger. Like, don't lose that because I was terrified. Remember Kevin McAllister got on the wrong plane in Home Alone because they had paper frickin'. Now they have all digital boarding passes, and the way they establish legitimacy is those codes, those QR codes.
Which can be made at home.
Right. But, like, it's all about legitimizing digital data and, like, what's real, what's authentic. It's the same thing as, like, the blue Twitter check mark. Like it's how do you establish a network where you can have trust in it based on your users of what's real and what's not? To me, like I'm looking at blockchain that way. Like that's how digital assets could be like valued in currency and exchanged with legitimacy. So they're trying to have that because that's all anything is. Like, why do you trust dollars? Why do you trust the deed on your house? Why do you trust? It's because governments and contracts back it. This is just...
Which, again, are
so
concepts.
This world's kind of failing because governments are bankrupt. Resources are...
Not just morally.
Supply chains are, falling apart. So, like, the digital world is becoming more reliable. So I'm like...
I don't know if it's becoming more reliable. I think it's the new thing.
It's like
living in a small town... when I lived in Rutherford County.
I don't know what the upper limit of it is.
I'll use that as a good example just because it's relatable. When we got a Chili's and a Sonic and a Fats Cafe, those places were visited over and over and over and over because it was a new thing. So everyone wanted to give it a whirl. And then eventually it died down. Then you had like your regulars for everything. It's the same idea with the digital gold rush that we have right now. It's no different.
That was the metaphor I thought of too the other day. Was like this feels like when the United States was like not developed all the way and people were like rushing to California.
Yep. 1840s, 1830s, 1820s.
And what were they doing along the way? They were like running and just putting stakes in the ground. Like, this is my land. Like, and then what did they have to have? They had to have deeds on the land that said this is mine. That was acknowledged and recognized by whoever. Like I guess the government or the states. It was like setting up the institutions to verify ownership and property. It's the same shit.
It is. And
It's the same shit.
It's no different.
It's just now we're going up a level to the Matrix.
I mean,
So, but I don't know that. I don't know. It's weird to me to think, what's the value of having like a digital apartment?
I mean, for your digital Second Life person, that way they can get a digital blowjob and do some digital DP.
Right,
I don't fucking know.
It's fucking weird, dude. It's
like,
weird. So like, I think it makes sense in a way, but then I'm also like, it's crazy too.
The whole concept of the metaverse. It's almost like the acknowledgement of, and I'm going to sound real wild with this next statement, so prepare to kill me on the internet. It's this idea that the hyper realistic idea of what society is supposed to be set up in a utopian sense of the term is what the metaverse is, because it's the idea of the world reflecting itself back on you in the context and the way that you want to live it, because it's no longer a confrontation between people. It's no longer a confrontation, not in the mean sense, but the confrontation or the physical sense of being around other people. It's moved to ones and zeros that are much harder to manipulate in comparison to like manipulating a physical person, because you can coerce people, you can manipulate people, you can, as the kids say, gaslight people. You can do that in the physical world much easier than you can in the digital world, because the digital world is simply ones and zeros. In the pure binary sense of communication language, I think that's everything translates to ones and zeros in the digital world, whereas everything here is far more complex because you're dealing with chemicals in the brain, you're dealing with electrodes.
I think you still have all the same problems. I think you still have all the same.
It is, but I'm saying like one is
easier to. It's I don't know if I understand.
One is easier to manipulate and far easier to fix, because it's the physical, because it's tangible. But in the digital side, it is harder to manipulate. It is. I mean, there are people that can do it, obviously, but it's much harder to manipulate it because it's so broken down into the basic building blocks. But if something does get manipulated, it's so much harder to fix, because it's still not fully understood. Like you were mentioning earlier, we're still kind of new to it.
Yeah.
So what once was old is new, and these concepts are not.
Well, I just see
new.
the same pattern, with the internet, with like ownership of anything. It makes sense to me. Like, people want to own shit.
I wish
people need to be able to prove that they own it. That's a really critical idea.
I think if there's a focus of ownership on one's emotions and actions.
Oh, and what do you? Okay, the third point is what makes the thing that you own have value. And that's the amount of people that are involved in that thing.
Yeah.
So,
or those that want that thing,
right,
because of scarcity or exclusivity or limited
or just actual value.
Yeah.
So like real estate. Okay. Why is real estate in Greenville valuable? It's valuable because it's a good climate. It's a red state, so we have low taxes. It's
we don't have
great
workers'
location. Rights. It's between Charlotte and Atlanta.
We don't have
an hour south
rights.
of Asheville. Well, I'm talking about the real estate. Why would you want to like?
Because that's part of it. That's part of it. Because I'm from a state where like running water is not everyone has running water. West Virginia is my home state.
There's a lot of restaurants. There's a lot of like there's a network effect of like a lot of good activity here. People want to be a part of.
But that's the reason why cost of living is so low here in comparison to other places, and it does come down to two very specific things.
Well, hold on. I don't want to go off on Greenville real quick, but
I'm talking about the South in general.
I know, but I was going to compare that to like a digital. What makes any like? Why would you want to be in a digital meta? Like, because there's multiple metaverses apparently that get created.
A multiverse of madness, if you will.
Yeah. Well, what would make you want to buy something and have value? Like, I never understood the value of anything digital. But what if like owning something digitally, got you something? Like not just a picture, not just art, but like got you access to something, or I don't know. It
could lead back to the idea of information as power and having that.
It's just a flow of like resources to whatever people think of that makes it cool. So like I just think there's going to be a lot of crazy innovation in the digital space with the undergirding of cryptocurrency as something people trust to make all the exchanges.
I think there'll be.
Does that make sense?
It
like
does.
Gold and dollars, we still use. They used the same thing back then to like track who had what and how much things were worth.
Yeah, I think the digital gatekeeping will be bigger than the real world gatekeeping because I could create.
But there could be more innovation outside of the digital gatekeepers, and then people could flock to that.
But ultimately, to be given final value, you may still have to deal with those digital gatekeepers. That's a bridge that people are learning how to cross.
Potentially, because they have the power of network effect, because they have more users now.
Yeah, but
it's like more people are going to get on the Facebook metaverse than something that we would just create.
Like MySpace 2.0. Now, to answer the real estate thing, and I'm speaking very specific.
Well, I'm trying to just make an analogy between real world real estate. Like Greenville has value to people.
Yeah.
That's why it's so expensive here. I mean, in addition to some of the other stuff you're going to go into, like what is the equivalent of what's the Greenville metaverse basically?
The Greenville metaverse.
What's the place where
is
people want to invest in?
The reason why they want to invest in it, and it comes down to a couple different things. Like one, I'm going to talk about the positives of Greenville initially. Then I'm going to talk about the negatives of the South, so no one gets me twisted. The fact that Greenville, they say it's an up and coming place. Like same with like Greer, and at one point, like Charlotte was up and coming before they broke out, and same for Atlanta and the surrounding areas. Charlotte's a gigantic.
Before the pandemic, they got hit real hard.
I mean, they're still pretty big. Even Asheville still has a lot of its pockets of big resources for folks. The reason why is because cost of living is genuinely less down here than most places, and the real estate boom is you have people that live in like more expensive areas that are, again, due to weird fake inflation, are needlessly expensive. Weird taxes. There's no need for some of these places to tax, and we talked about this last time, to tax so high. If you have,
I hate taxes.
No one likes taxes. I don't even.
Democrats say they do.
They don't.
They just want to tax other people.
Yeah, it goes back to haves and have-nots. That's my big push on that idea. But you have a place that's up and coming. You have a place that's not as developed. You have a place like in Greenville specifically. You do see a lot of new things coming that are bringing people into the area that are good, but you see a lot of bad coming with it. The good thing is the good parts are the culture here is more accepting way more accepting than it used to be for new ideas and things. The reporting of crime is way down because Greenville used to be Spartanburg Part 2.
Really?
Yeah. This is before I moved here because I would.
Crime doesn't seem that bad here at all.
No, because it's not reported as much on purpose, but that's the way crime is for most places.
So that could be value in the digital metaverse.
Yeah.
Like one has a bunch of hackers. That'd be like a crime-ridden city.
Yeah.
And then one has very secure, trusted.
Yep.
Name recognition.
Yep.
This is a good one. It's like Google versus Ask Jeeves, or
Bing.
Or what was a shitty downloading service? Like Napster was a pretty good. There were some weird
LimeWire.
LimeWire's pretty bad. Kazaa, but there were some jank ones, dude. I don't know if you remember. These are like the shitty cryptocurrencies to me now. Those jank ass file sharing services.
I still use SoulSeek.
The ones that would give you like STDs for your computer.
Yeah. There was. I think LimeWire was probably the biggest one that was the most virus-ridden one.
To me, I view that as the same as like crime-ridden cities versus really good cities that have low crime and good.
Crime is relative.
It's the same thing, just digitally.
Crime is relative to the area. Every area has crime, both big and little crimes. Regardless, that's just a concept that people need to understand at this point. Whether you're in a big city or a little town, you're still going to have the same amount of crime. The only difference is population density to how much is going to happen.
Right.
And again, like the reason why an area like Greenville, if you're comparing it to like a crypto or an NFT, why it's so desirable is there's still a chance for people to make something their own and make it malleable and adaptable to create something more. Now, the other reason why people are moving things down here is because we still live in a very uneducated part of the country. We just do. I'm tired of people saying, well, we have nice schools. By and large, there's not a lot of education.
That's a real thing because if people aren't aware of stuff, that's there's an early mover advantage.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm talking like from the elementary level to the collegiate level. I'm talking about all levels that we have our higher institutions of learning, but to get there are a lot of bridges.
Well, it was poorer here, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
it was poor here for a while. You've lived here a long time.
I lived here and at the end of the first Renaissance of Greenville being built up. So I've been here a decade.
Okay.
Come November.
Okay. So if a city
September. Shit.
So if a city is poor, let's just think about what that means. If they have less resources and money,
less distribution of resources. The money was always
that
here.
also means potentially less information,
purposefully
lower quality of like education.
Purposeful. This goes back if we're really going to look at it from the South in general.
Well, what is that? So that means that if people come in with more money, more resources, more education, they're smarter and they're going to like exploit. I don't even want to use the word exploit
because that's the right term.
Right.
So,
but it could also bring flourishing with it too.
It won't.
It has.
It
has.
It fake has. Let me. Okay. I'll explain.
It fake has.
It fake has, and here's why. This is where I'm going to talk about the South in general. And again, I'm from a state that's like a border state. No matter how you cut it, I've seen the best. I've seen both sides, with unions, without unions. I'm not going to go off on a pro-union or anti-union rant, but if you look at Reconstruction South, right, and that's really where we got to base it.
I don't know what that is.
Reconstruction after the Civil War.
Okay.
Reconstruction South.
I know what you mean.
You started having people that weren't white starting to have things, and and certain white people were not happy about that.
Sure.
And
I like deconstructing from this point. Okay, go ahead.
And as the reconstruction of the South began, you started putting in weird laws that would really just for subjugation.
Right.
So that's why you have a low cost of living, because you only had a handful of people in true power for those areas, be it government, be it banking, be it landowners, be it whatever industry there was. So without going into like the weirder parts of that, that's all it was.
I don't understand how that correlates to low cost of living.
I'm getting there. You have to know the history to get there.
No, I didn't get the history connection at all there. So you just said they set up weird laws that made low cost of living.
I'm getting there. I promise.
But to me, it would be like you'd make it more expensive for black people to own land if you were...
Because of the subjugation and the lack of working with the law of the land. Because like, oh, we're gonna do it on our terms, basically on a state basis instead of a whole federal basis. You had these pockets of the country, especially the Reconstruction South. I got to get to this. Please let me get to this.
No, but I just don't understand what you're saying. So
I'm getting there. You keep cutting me off.
No, but the point I didn't understand what you just said.
That's where I sound angry. I'm not angry. So as time marched on, you still had the same antebellum South that ran the South in charge even after the end of the Civil War. So even though certain things were abolished on the idea of that they were abolished, they still weren't put into practice. So the antebellum South was still in charge, even though we were in the Reconstruction period of the South after the end of the Civil War and the reconstruction of the economics. So they looked to everything up north that they didn't like. They didn't like up north because of all the perceptions that the North had in comparison to the South, especially on the industrial side, because the South was behind on the industry side of things. There was agricultural-based industry, whereas the North was like a regular industry, more mechanical, more production side. The South had very little. So what they would do, because agriculture in comparison does not make the same amount of money as a true regular industry does, like power, like electricity. So the reason why after Reconstruction we kept things in a way to keep people subjugated.
Yeah, so, what did we do though? I still don't know what we did specifically.
I'm still getting there. I know this is
no, but you just kind of glossed over it. I don't really get
because there's so much involved in this isn't like a short 30-second answer. This is like a long, drawn out answer because there's no short way of putting it. It came down to this idea that the South still wanted to be separatists from the North for the rest of the proverbial Union of the United States.
They wanted more state independence, is my understanding.
That's part of it. But the other part of it is they
didn't want federalism. They wanted state rights.
And the state rights were convoluted and very much.
Well, I kind of wanted. I was hoping for some specific examples of how white people were trying to hold on to their power. I'm sure there are. I just don't know what they are. What specific laws they put. Like, I mean, I'm sure
Jim
the
Crow,
Jim Crow definitely.
3/5.
Well, the 3/5 compromise was actually before slavery was abolished,
but I mean,
wasn't it? That was for what slaves counted as for voting representation.
But it was still carried out. It was still carried out. The purposeful moving of black people, even though they were free people, moving them to areas where they could not flourish, and they would not hire black people for anything outside of legitimate indentured servitude wages.
Sure.
So that subjugation.
Like the only jobs they could get were shitty ones where they're not technically slaves, but still doing slave type work. Yeah,
yep.
For sure. And so these are the examples I was hoping to get.
Yeah, and that's what the reason why I don't like saying those specific things.
Why not?
Because I want to look at it from more of a perspective that just shows that this has been a constant thing of a power struggle without going to specific groups, but using the concepts. I'm trying to get better at it. I clearly fucked up, but
no.
But that kept going. So anytime you had something that was northern, that was not traditional Southern, Jesus, guns, Clemson, or whatever the fuck it is down here. Anything that you had was contrary to it, unless those people were benefiting from an outsider, they did not want an outsider coming in changing the way of life. So
that's why they don't like me from Michigan.
Dude, I'm Jewish. They got a lot of issue with me, and I sound the way I do. And man, don't get me wrong, I can sound Southern, and if I give a few more shout-outs to me, I'll fucking sound real goddamn West by God, you motherfucker. But I don't. I force all that down. But as things continued, they started putting up these things like the Taft-Hartley Act, 14B. It's anti-unionizing laws. That's another way of subjugation that the South has been very good about. This idea of right to work, where you can be fired for any reason whatsoever. If they don't like your haircut, you can get fired. Like that has nothing to do with my ability to do my job. And it's because it became ratified by so many states that they just started applying that right to work to all classes and groups of people that were not the people that came back through Reconstruction, whether it was through a new form of industry, a new form of taking over agriculture, and they use the term carpetbaggers, like Northerners trying to come in and usurp certain things from the former.
What does carpetbaggers mean? So basically, a Northerner coming in and trying to change the way of
Northern
doing
industrial
things?
type kind of come in and change things to make it more for them. It's another
same
form
kind of It's like a different iteration of that when Northerners come in and buy real estate down here.
It's a different form of gentrification.
Yeah,
in all reality, it's a
so it's weird. You have like a couple different levels happening. You had the old South thing where they were trying to keep slaves under wraps and they didn't want to go along with it, and then also you have the Northerners coming in screwing over the general poor, which could include poor Southern whites or black people.
It include all all the have-nots.
So it's kind of like a messy picture of subjugation.
And that's why like when you're asking for really short answers, like there's just so much that has to be discussed.
Well, I know. I just wanted a few examples so I could track where you were going.
Yeah, I
wasn't sure.
I actually was getting there.
No.
And that's why, like, living in a place like this, like when I talk about workers' rights, we don't have unions. The right to work, like that's another reason why cost of living is so cheap here in comparison to where a lot of these people are coming from. They're moving their businesses down here because now all of a sudden they have the ability to be like, oh, I can just fire someone because like they smoke a brand of cigarette I don't like.
Yeah.
There's no, and you have.
Yeah, that is kind of messed up. When I think of unions, like I don't want to be totally anti just because that's what I traditionally would say as a right-leaning person. I like to think about, like the NFL has a union. The NFL has the players union, and I understand that pretty well because I know what football practice is like. I played it at the college level. And
which is like one step, which is the launching pad for the professional level.
Yeah. A couple guys played in the NFL. Jared Valdir, he's kind of a friend of mine. He was a year older than me. He played in the league for about 10 years. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So like, anyway, in the NFL, so comparing it to like working conditions for like any other job and why you would need a union, it's a risky job. So when you play, like your body is being put in a situation where your career could be over at any given moment. There's a lot
same with fighting.
Yeah, same with fighting. And there's a lot of money to be made in the NFL. So the teams, the franchises, and the owners are making tons of money off of the players who are putting their bodies at risk. So they need to negotiate like their contracts so that they're compensated in the event that something bad happens. They also need to be compensated or need to be like their practice schedule. Like they actually write in things like that, and what they ask for in collective bargaining Because football practice is taxing on your body. It freaking sucks.
It's
I hated practice.
Is there anything like
your body gets broken down?
Is there like a certain regimen that you had to follow for your practices? I'm only asking because like when I played soccer, I knew like, all right, this day we're running and then doing light lifting and then doing a couple.
Oh
drills.
yeah, there was a schedule down to the minute. Like down to like the minute where we were going to be, how long we were going to be in each classroom, how long we were going to be on the field, how long each section of practice was going to be. Like it was like the military in terms of how regimented it was.
Because after the high school level, I did not pursue any form of athletics at the next level for a lot of reasons. One of which I let myself go to shit, but the other reason was like my heart dropped out of it. So you telling me this is like,
it was cool. I mean, it made us extremely disciplined. I mean, that's why I'm disciplined in some things now, or like I can turn that on. But yeah. But the players union like kind of needed that voice, you know. I think it serves a meaningful function in the context of the NFL. Like I'm not really anti players union, you know.
I think and people
because it's like strength in numbers. You can't negotiate all that stuff if you're just one person, but if you have the collective union to speak on your behalf, you know,
and
the workers are doing a lot. Like the workers are the players.
Yeah.
And it's weird to say that because they have millions of dollars. But the thing I think most people don't, or a lot of people maybe don't get, is that NFL players, only a very small amount of them are super wealthy based on their paychecks from playing.
Most of them are just like lower. I mean, this sounds bad. Like for me, it'd be perfect, but they're lower six figures a year.
Or they'll make a few $100,000 a year, and they have to just kill themselves to make the team, and they'll probably get cut in 2 years. So you can't like retire off that even. I mean, and your body is like screwed. Yeah, it's like they need good retirement plans negotiated by the union.
You're putting yourself through hell.
Yeah,
and then like,
and you're sacrificing like prime lives of your years to get another career. Yeah. So it's like, you know, ex NFL players, they become broadcasters maybe, or
coaches,
maybe they go into
trainers,
coaches.
They work
in the or you know, some of them they can become sales reps. We have some ex-NFL players that sell for my company.
I bet people love that they have like a former NFL player in front of them selling that.
It's a nice
just
thing.
that idea right there. Like, oh my god, this.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
But yeah, there's a reason why we need unions. I mean, people don't like hearing that down here. They freak out. Like, why we need a union? You pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Fucking hang yourself by your fucking bootstraps. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to break my back or give you my time and I have no leg to stand on, when you all of a sudden say, well, you're done. Oh, I'm done. That means I have no attachment. I have no benefits. I have no nothing. I don't have any of this. Yeah. No, you're done. Get out. Cool. You've now put someone, and I'm not saying this is me. You've now put someone in a predicament to where they may not have anything left to lose, and that creates a culture of resentment. In general, if you have the unions, believe it or not, and I know that a lot of people down here especially have this resentment towards unions because they see like a handful of examples with organized crime mixed in with it. Okay,
Jimmy
fine.
Hoffa.
Yeah, fine. Well, fucking Cleveland had the Irishman. Fine. It's fine. Have that in there. They had the Irish Mafia in Cleveland. Fine. That's there. Are you going to sit there and fucking tell me that the government doesn't have its own level of criminality the entire time? Are you going to tell me these large corporations don't have their own level of criminality and their version of the proverbial mafia? Are you going to sit there in good conscience tell me that, you dumb son of a bitch? Like, you can't. It's all there. It's the idea that we're protecting the lowest person in the food chain, which is the worker. There's the reason why these companies are companies. And if you don't protect them and you don't take care of them and you just treat people like a replaceable number.
Well, I think unions can get all out of whack too. Like the union,
I'm not disagreeing with that.
The union itself can get corrupt. So that's what I think people react to.
But those things happen Those things happen on such a low level.
Well, no, I don't mean actual crime. I don't mean a crime.
No, I know what you mean.
I mean like a clunky, really bad bureaucracy.
No, I know.
Where the leaders of the union are just freaking douchebags, and they become almost as bad as like the freaking business owners they're negotiating with.
Yeah, I'm not debating that.
You know what I mean? Because I hate bureaucracies. I like those to be broken up.
I'm not debating that.
And I actually don't like corporate bureaucracies either.
I think that idea because it still involves the main thing, which is people. People are fallible and corruptible. But if you don't even give the opportunity for people to be protected, like what you're doing is creating a culture and a nation of sadists, and you're creating an unwell population for the long run.
Right. Well, I think what's important too is like, okay, so if you don't like the idea that unions aren't allowed or whatever, and like
you're fired immediately.
We're not
You start
protected.
talking.
We're not protected. Okay,
You get
so
fired
like
immediately around here
that
without talking
kind of
about it.
is that kind of could be like it is what it is. I can't change that. So what could I do? The only thing you could do is educate make yourself so valuable you don't need the company,
And that's
to whether that's education, whether that's marketing yourself to other employers. It's making it so you're not dependent upon them. Where the NFL is more of like a closed ecosystem where the players need the NFL more than the NFL needs the players. Because so many people are going to kill themselves to get to the NFL.
But those numbers eventually deplete.
There's not like a bunch of NFLs where players can compete with their labor. Like if there was a serious alternative and the NFL was screwing with these players, they could be like, I'll just go play for the XFL because they're treating our players better, and they could move. You know what I mean? With like companies, you could do that. There are other companies that compete for labor.
But
you know what I mean? To me, there's only one NFL, so that's their dominance is what precipitates the need for a union. Maybe I think that's a theory I just developed.
No, that's a good theory. But like the problem is the idea of in a vacuum. If we're talking pure vacuum, not an echo chamber, but in a vacuum, on concept alone, unions are one of the best things to keep people loyal. It breeds generations of people. If you look back at like early New York, and I'm only using this as an example, or early Boston, you would have entire generations of cops. Like, hey, I'm a New York City cop. My father, my grandfather, my great grandfather, my great great grandfather. Same for Boston, and the same idea. You're creating the perpetual workforce. You're creating that loyalty with a union, believe it or not. Because if you're going to pay me better and give me more time off and give me better health insurance, and I'm protected. You know what I mean? I'm more apt to want to work for a company that does that. And there's a certain level of transparency.
Well, smart companies do stuff like that without being compelled to by the union or by government. They'll be like, we want to keep our employees happy.
But
part of
but that's the green
what our
party.
culture is.
But that's the green party, for lack of a better way of putting it, of companies. If you look at
some company cultures do intentionally invest in people like that. Like
I know, but I'm from my,
and that's being innovative from a business owner perspective.
From my time on this planet, from my time and all the jobs that I've had, I've never had that protect. Well, I take that back. In school, I had that protection with one job that I had to leave because I moved down here. But being down,
some companies are horribly shitty. I'm not.
Yeah. But the vast majority of them, especially the places that say that have the threat. That get mad when you threaten unions. I'm looking at specifically Amazon and Starbucks over the last little bit. You have these anti-union gangs saying, well, the pay could go down. Like, cool. I could get to your kids before you do. Like, you have I can say the same thing. It doesn't mean I'm going to kill a child. Right. But if you're going to threaten my way of life, I'm going to threaten you right back. And if you're gonna do it in a way that's so detrimental and is going to be hurtful, I'm going to come back 10 times as hard, because that right there is an open threat.
Yeah.
And that's the idea that these larger corporations don't want to really examine. They're worried about crypto taking everything about them and making them obsolete. All these bigger corporations are terrified of a decentralized currency because they lose their power.
Right. Well, this is to me what's going to happen then. They're so terrified that they're like, if this shit does go that way, I'm going to start buying shit in the metaverse as a hedge. In case it does, I'm going to start going there. And then the users are going to start migrating there. And then it's going to just happen. Like, that's how I see it happening. Because, like, when the internet took hold, I'm sure there were tons of companies, brick and mortar, that felt threatened as hell. They're like, the internet?
Yeah.
Things are going to be done online? What about Blockbuster? People came in to get their videos. People came in to get their, whatever. And then they're like, this internet thing, that's never going to take off. That's crazy. But the smart ones were like, well, fuck it. If it is going to take off, I'm going to go do some shit there just in case.
Yeah.
And then those are the new ones. That's why Amazon became what Amazon is. So, like,
to a point, I have a different feeling and I've watched friends' businesses get bought up and destroyed by Amazon. Like I have a lot of
No. I know, but Amazon didn't used to be the big bad guy. Amazon used to be like
they were just a company.
This new thing.
They were a book dealer.
Right.
They were a book dealer waiting for college kids to get cheaper books for classes.
Exactly. So you said these companies are threatened by crypto. They are, but I think they're also going to go ahead and put a foothold in it. I think Samsung already has its own whatever.
Some of them have.
Disney and stuff like that. They're going to start going there because it might be the next thing.
But a lot of them,
you don't want to miss out on the next thing.
A lot of them have this idea they're too big to fail. But back to the
right. Well, some the companies that did think they were too big to fail before. I want to think of examples. Kodak.
Yeah, Kodak was one. Kodak's a really good one actually.
Nokia, I think. BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Like companies that didn't have the vision to think their dominance could ever be questioned, they fucking got burned,
or they got bought out,
or they got bought in the process,
or they had a really big payday.
But yeah, that's what's interesting to me about. I'm sorry, I got crypto on the brain.
I know,
but like these companies that are threatened by crypto, they're just going to go there as a hedge anyway. I think,
and they're going to repeat the same process they did beforehand.
I think the things that are becoming obsolete are nations.
And no, there's always going to be
currencies.
No, those will always be around because eventually,
think?
because here's what's eventually going to happen, even with all the technology we have.
Well, I think the U.S. dollar is in really bad shape right now.
I'm not even talking,
which equates to America being in bad shape.
America's been in bad shape for a long time.
Really bad right now.
It's
really bad.
It's debatable. Least violent time in human history, as far as like war is concerned.
No, that's true. But I mean, financially, we're broke as fuck, dude.
Well,
we're so broke.
Well, that's something that's a screaming
match. We owe China a shit ton of money.
That's something.
The U.S. dollar is getting less and less valuable by the day.
We're headed towards a very
gas is
regime.
So expensive. All of our and people who don't understand this, all they're gonna know is that like shit's super expensive. Yeah, and they can't afford food anymore.
And there's no here's the problem. There's no reason for a lot of because I want to get back to unions. I know it makes people uncomfortable to hear someone educated talk about unions, the good and the bad. But as far as inflation goes, there is no need for this inflation. There genuinely is no fucking need for it.
No,
there's no
that's
need
wrong.
for it.
That's actually
no.
It's not a way to say need. That's the wrong way to think about it.
No,
it's like
it's
like it's arguing with the laws of physics. It's a supply issue.
No, it's not. It's not because what has been set up. And if you look at non-GMO versus GMO foods, if you look at how things have been regulated, because we are in this new version of recession. If you look at it from this perspective, this is my perspective. This is not for anyone else to put any fucking weight in. The reason why this inflation is not needed is because everything else that has been hyperinflated has not been matched with the current currency. Typically in an inflation, the cost of goods rises up. Yes, because of a scarcity, because of a lower production, for whatever reason.
No, because of the money supply expanding. That's all it is.
But
there's more dollars in circulation that are printed. That's what inflation is by definition. I just want to make sure it's clear that that's what it is.
The inflation that we have now is very different. It is a purposefully driven to knock out anyone who has anything kind of inflation. There's genuinely need for a piece of chicken to cost $5. But what they're doing to make this fake inflation, I'm using chicken specifically as an example. If you look at some of the floods that have hit North Carolina, if you look at some of the chicken factories like the Tyson because of the COVID, right? This goes back to why I'm not anti-mask, why I'm not anti-vaccine. The means of production have been skewed have been purposefully, surreptitiously, cautiously, and calculated to make this newest inflation. If you follow the money, if you follow back the means of production, if you follow back every last facet of it, you'll see that this current inflation that we're in is a bullshit subjugation tactic.
Well, yeah, I'm not disagreeing. Well,
and that's why
forget the motive, but why it's happening is we printed money and handed money to everyone out of thin air. But that's why inflation happens.
But this is also pre-pandemic. I'm talking like.
But I'm talking these particular price rises.
It's
because we printed so much money and put it in the economy. That's it. That's mathematically.
I'm going back to the 2008 bailout. I should have led.
No. But that could be a way to subjugate people, is to print money, but that's why it happens. That's what happens. It's just money printing.
But the money printing is still representative in ones and zeros in your bank account. Like I don't carry
Right.
I don't carry a lot of cash.
Right. It's all digital money too.
And this goes
But
back.
that's why there's more money in circulation. So there's more dollars, same amount of goods. The price of those dollars in those dollars is going to go. The price of those goods in those dollars is going to go up by definition.
But
it's like a law.
But the other reason why there's so much money has been printed, and this is something
Is because people aren't working.
no, that's not. That's I mean that's a
People
fact.
can't work because of COVID. No, those are the stimulus. This is the stimulus.
I'm damn it. We have more people in the country now is why there's more money. That's a factor that never gets pulled up. We have, if you look at the growth of the United States, I'm just used to the 10-year consensus, and I should have the numbers on my phone and pull it up. But the population of the country itself has gotten so much bigger between 2010 and 2020, or even 2000 to 2010, because the uptick in the amount of people
I
is
think
why there's more money.
There's
we have
fewer
more people in the
being
workforce
born now than before.
But I'm talking about viable workforce. I'm not talking about like
I think there's
children. I'm talking about viable workforce that's available and that is working. That's another factor that is the reason why more money is being, because it has to be.
No, but the recent monetary expansion is so much greater than anything we've ever seen. Ever. More money has been 40% of the I just heard the statistic like yesterday. 40% of the money, the US dollars that have ever been printed, were printed within the last 2 years. So when you flood the US economy with that many dollars, inflation's going to happen. It's as simple as that.
I'm not doubting your statistic, but I would like to see the difference in printed money versus digital checks.
Well, that's what I mean when I say printed money.
Okay.
I don't literally mean the.
Okay.
I mean digital, all forms of it deposited
Okay.
into your bank accounts. That's what I mean.
Okay, when you said 40% of printed money, I'm like, I have not seen more cash.
Well, it's the same thing. I was using them interchangeably.
Okay. Now that I know that makes more sense.
The money's, when I say the money, I just basically mean the money supply.
All right. Now, how do you
So-
feel about this bullshit coin shortage?
I don't know what that even. I don't know enough about it. To
I have
say
a
anything.
conspiracy theory about the proverbial coin shortage the U.S. is facing.
Well, is it because there's a fixed amount of precious metals and we can't expand them as fast as we can? I don't know.
No,
no idea.
my idea is far more base, or based. Thank you, based God. I don't even know what the fuck that means. The idea is, if precious metals are to become the backing source of money again, here's what I think the coin shortage really is. I know they're not minting as many coins because there are less metals, and the metals that they are using are not the same that they used over the years. I know they've cut down silver, they've cut down their copper, they've cut down even some part of their nickel, like their pure nickel. They're more
Right.
alloy based. I get that. I'm not gonna. That's just basic science because of a finite supply. What I think they're doing, as far as the idea of the coin shortage, they're hoarding them and breaking them back down to their base elements. So in case there is a crash, either via the digital side or the physical side of money,
Interesting.
they now have a way to back it up again by
Yeah.
giving a value to it. Like I don't know why
That's
copper,
a great theory.
I don't know why copper pipe is so expensive. I mean, I do, because there's not a lot, and you can get a lot of money from selling copper wiring, copper pipe. But it goes back to the same thing.
That's a great theory.
Think of like the people that are absconding with copper wiring and piping, regardless of whatever their reason is or what their motivation is. They're selling that for X amount of dollars, because once that base metal or that alloy metal gets broken down into its base elements and you remove the impurities, now you have the pure copper, the pure silver, the pure gold, the pure palladium, the pure whatever. You now have begun to set a brand new economy, because you've taken the labor of one person, taking it and getting it to you. You've now broken it down into its pure elements, and you've removed the impure elements. You've now taken those pure elements and revalued them, because they are considered a pure element that cannot be edited again unless you choose to edit them. And then you're going to recirculate that proposition of economy, that proposition of value, because now all of a sudden the people that have those things are now going to be the new wealth hoarders. So that's what I see. As far as the coin shortage goes, there's no fucking coin shortage. There's no such thing as a coin shortage. Nobody is Scrooge McDucking their way through their fucking weekend. They're using this as a basis to gain back the precious metal backing that this country used to have. And that's been my
Yeah.
conspiracy, and I guarantee that's going to fucking happen.
So we're going back. Yeah, that's a good theory, because if we need to rebuild from scratch, we'll need a fixed supply of something.
Yep.
That's what people are hoping Bitcoin is, but crypto could crash. So
because the belief structure may go. And the only reason why crypto may actually crash is if the internet is erased, if digital technology is totally removed.
right. That's the thing I don't really understand is where exactly does it all live? Like
The cloud.
the cloud. Yeah.
The proverbial cloud.
Yeah, but that's an interesting theory about the coin shortage for sure.
Yeah,
because like we're printing money like crazy. It's like if all the debt just explodes and there's like some fallout with violence or political unrest or wars, when the dust all settles, you need to have something secure and real and tangible. Maybe that is precious metals.
And I think that a lot of these big corporations are doing that. I think they're secretly doing it through, I don't want to say shell companies, but companies set up to be reporting directly to them. I think governments are doing it as well.
It's crazy that the fundamentals of an economy require that stuff. You need a fixed supply of a medium of exchange that people can trust and believe in. And once people lose faith in that, then crazy shit happens. That's why it's a scary time to me, is because the currencies are so crazy. It's because the inflation's so crazy. Like, to me, that's like the biggest threat to the stability of world life as we know it is currency getting out of whack.
Yeah, and as a pure survivalist, I'm a pure survivalist.
Yeah. Do you have any doomsday prepping plans?
Yeah. I actually got to dig up my bug out bag and check my expiration dates on stuff.
Yeah.
I got to make sure everything in there is cleaned and taken care of. So when shit does go pear-shaped, because it will, that's just an inevitable fact, because man as a creature is very shitty to not only his fellow man, but also himself, in the respect of just using that as the idea of man.
Like when the apocalypse, like when,
zombies or fucking whatever, or like robots or aliens.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Or
world.
like when China finally decides to take over.
It's weird to me what disintegrates when you get to that state. Like you're in your doomsday bunker. Like what has disintegrated when you're in that place? Property rights have, because there's no rule of law,
civility.
So you basically have to have a gun to protect yourself. That's the last thing you have.
I'm a big proponent in carrying it all the time.
Yeah, I know you're a big gun guy.
I am. Which is weird, because I talk about all these things about like a revolution, about how we need to have unions, we need to have workers' rights, we need to have things for people, we need to have programs that are set up to help.
Yeah. Property, currency, and everything else is falling apart. So basically you have to make your own food.
Yeah.
Protect your own family.
But I'm like a real big Second Amendment dude as well. Like I'm creepily a Second Amendment guy. It bothers people because like I look like I do right now. But the reason why I'm a Second Amendment guy is
you're suspicious of people fucking with you.
I mean,
right?
Most people should be on have that at some point in their life.
Everybody should be suspicious of people fucking with them. You should protect yourself.
We were
including governments. They fuck with you. So.
My BFFFF and I. This is a long time ago when I was far more irresponsible with what I put in my body. But we watched this movie called Waking Life, and it's a bunch of little stories put together, anthology, I guess was the right word. And they were talking about the Second Amendment, guns, and tyranny. And the final scene for this particular part was very impactful. It to this day, it gives me chills. These two men are talking in a bar, and the one guy says, well, a well-armed populace is the best defense against tyranny. And they go, yep, and then they shoot each other. They kill each other.
Why?
Because the other person that said, the other guy did not agree with him, so they pulled guns on each other. But the idea of a well-armed populace being the best defense against tyranny, that is something that has just echoed in my mind. I've never forgotten about it. I don't know why. It's one of the more impactful statements.
Yeah.
Just like a band like Bad Religion, or the Dead Kennedys, or like DRI, or any of those punk bands imprinted on me. That was a big imprint.
Well-armed populace as a defense against tyranny.
The best defense against
tyranny.
Yeah.
I think that applies not to
Art Linklater
not
movie?
to literal guns, but let's take that statement and apply it to the oppression or the tyranny of an employer. Okay, so an employer not giving out benefits. A well-armed employee would be, you're smarter.
I know my laws. I
know my laws. I'm making myself smarter. I know where else I could go if you fuck with me. I know, like, you got to arm yourself against tyranny. You got to
Andy Dufresne your way through the whole thing.
You got to Andy Dufresne your way. You got to, I don't know, side hustle your way. You got to make yourself.
Yeah.
relevant in other ways. Like you gotta protect. You gotta look out for number one, bro.
And I think it worries people that people like me exist in the South. I honest to God, if I was out west, or if I lived in like a Chicago, or if I lived back up north, I would have a much more thriving life as far as finances go. Because they would go, oh, you're a problem solver. You look at history. You have this perspective on things. We like what you're doing. We don't agree with all of it, but like 90% of it, we're with you. Can you make these things happen? The answer is yes. Down here, I'm just a fucking dumb fuck, barely employable kind of person because I have strong opinions. They don't value what I can bring to the table in a lot of ways because I don't look at things in this old archetypal, I fit this particular mold for this part of the cog for this machine that's fucking broken and we're just waiting for that nut and bolt to come out to destroy it when someone has a fix. I am not valued. Like I check my value in different areas of the United States based on my education, my job experience, my skills. I am the lowest here in the South. Anywhere else in the fucking world, anywhere else, and granted New York and like Chicago and LA, like out west, inflation aside, I'm a 6-figure person. Down here, I'm barely 40 grand a year. I go to other countries, automatic 6-figure salary would come my way because of my knowledge, because of my skills, because of what I know how to do, because of my education. But here I'm devalued so greatly that it's very frustrating for me to have respect for any kind of real industry because you'll see these businesses down here brag about how much money they're making. Why can't we get raises? Well, you can earn it. You can earn it. Like, well, I've helped you earn this. Why am I not given a better piece of the pie? I'm not asking for all of it. I'm asking for a very specific increase for my needs. None of these people that are asking for extra money for these jobs that are like multi-billion-dollar corporations, they're not like, how do I put this without sounding like an asshole? I'm not counting the corporation's pockets, but I'm counting the fucking pockets of the mouthpiece they have in front of me. I'm counting the pockets of the man in front of me, not the figurehead, not the esoteric idea of the corporation. I'm counting the pockets of the person telling me no.
The middle manager that's being
yeah. Because if like again, if you you can argue like Bezos, you can argue Starbucks, you can argue any major corporation. If you're raking in billions of dollars, you're telling me you can't throw a few extra dollars to your fucking people? Are you really saying that? And if you're saying, I want to know why it's not, because it's not cost effective, suck a dick. If you took like not even 10% of those earnings, you would drastically increase all of your workers' way of life. You would have, again, that generational loyalty. You would buy goodwill with everyone there. And if you took some of that money and invested it into the community for like after school programs or whatever, you cannot buy that kind of PR. You cannot buy that kind of good PR. They choose not to do it because it takes away from their proverbial bottom line. And here's the other thing. Even if they do all these things, they're still going to get that money back in tax breaks. It's still going to come back to them. They're looking, as my father would say, you're looking at the end of your nose, not at the end of the hallway. You're cutting it off right here and not looking at the long term. Everyone wants to look at that short term, which is the end of the nose. The long term is what perpetuates more actual fucking growth. Right. And no one wants to hear that because it's a difficult concept.
Yeah, everybody operates on a short-term time horizon, especially if the company is publicly traded because they go off of quarterly statements. Like how a stock is valued is based on...
Same as stock is the OG crypto, by the way.
Right. Well, Amazon, like the reason they make a ton of money, or any company, I guess, but they're subject to their last earnings statement. So like if the last time they reported earnings to Wall Street, it was this, and then between the next one, they offer to pay Adam Schulte more, then that metric goes down on a relative basis. And that's why they don't do it. It's because they don't want to, even if they've gotten to a good, healthy level, they don't want to do that because then it'll make them look, which is just it kind of is what it is. I mean, depending on the impact. So they have to do it gradually or not at all, or, have to have enough employees say fuck you and leave or whatever to where it hurts other parts of their profitability. to make a change. So being so at mercy to the share price is kind of a short-term time horizon problem to me. It's like,
and here's the thing.
That's why if you're not publicly traded, you have a lot more flexibility.
Yeah. And then what's going to hurt a lot of these companies in the long run, and they don't understand this because they don't want to, because they're beholden to these fucking cocksucker shareholders. I have stock in other companies.
That's a way for individuals to protect themselves. Now, I think people can buy stocks way easier than they could. No. But before we get to that,
okay,
I was just gonna say,
I'm just saying,
like, this is an alternative for like employees that are at an individual basis. Like, you can try and you can invest money in the company itself, be an owner of the company, which by definition you are, and then your wealth is accumulating as the company does well, even if the manager's not paying you more. I don't know.
Give people
because
options.
That's kind of been democratized. It used to be harder to buy stock. I actually remember when I was a kid, my dad had like a Schwab account kind of set up for me, and I was like, Dad, I feel like I should be investing. He's like, I don't really know how to do that. Like we didn't know.
That goes back to the education.
But now everybody, education is power.
Purpose
man.
And knowledge is power. That's if you really want. That's where the basis for I think a lot of that knowledge is power comes, knowing how wealth.
And that's why it's kind of cool too. Like, the biggest thing anybody could do to become wealthy is educate themselves. Like, get on YouTube and try and learn about. I
mean, again, we weren't raised as a generation. Unless
we didn't have access to any knowledge.
We were not raised to be innovative or to have ideas or to even be valued outside of someone who can sit in a space for a certain amount of time. That's why we were never taught tax law, how to create wealth, how to deal with taxes, how to do anything that involves the real world. Like, I know Y equals MX plus B, but I'm not fucking applying it to anything.
Before the internet, I actually didn't know. Like, it was so weird to me to buy stock. I was like, what is the stock market? Like, where is it? What is it? You know what I mean? It didn't seem like it was real. Like, it was like intangible. Like, what is it? A bunch of guys with papers yelling at each other in New York City? Is that what it is? Like, and how do I own stock in a company? Whereas now it's still kind of mysterious, but like, you can buy,
it's less mysterious,
you can buy stocks. You can go to Charles Schwab, E-Trade. You can go to these and just buy stocks. You could set it up to buy regular exchange traded funds or things like that, which are very safe, and those will accumulate in value over time. Yeah. And you can create wealth that way. And it's
again, when people were purposely not given.
People can be empowered as individuals if they educate themselves.
And we were taught in school to sit there and shut the fuck up and regurgitate versus think. And the people that could afford the schools or were so smart and undeniably talented that they needed to be in those kind of learning environments.
Well, I don't know if people like. Compound interest is one of the biggest things that I think people don't understand.
I have a very, very general working knowledge of compound interest. And we're talking like bare bones, like you start adding multiple stock splits and how they affect the compound interest.
Well, all I'm talking about compound interest is, let's say you have you're investing in a mutual fund, and that mutual fund is going to get a return like 10% a year on average.
These are not real numbers. We're just using simple numbers, correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay, I don't want people to think that like we're...
So like the power of that is, like, let's say you decide, I get a paycheck every month. I'm going to invest $100 into this mutual fund every month, hell or high water, whether it goes up or down. Well, then after a while, the returns you make, you're making returns on those returns. So it becomes like a snowball that rolls uphill. So like, because you're investing the same amount every month, it's going to grow to this massive nest egg at the end.
Yep.
And you can just invest in the S&P like that. The S&P has done between 10 and 19% over the last 100 years. And you could just buy a fund that's low cost basis. People don't even know that.
Yeah, and if they did,
that's not like crypto craziness. That's like easy
common
shit.
That's very easy.
You just set it up. You're out of college. You're a minimum wage employee. Like, if you have anything you could afford, like $100, just do that, and then you can calculate how much you'll be worth in 10, 20 years.
Yeah, but the reason why people aren't taught that is it's fear. Because all of a sudden it's the same idea for the fear of crypto. It's the same idea.
Yeah, it's like you want to be the gatekeeper that's the expert. So that's why financial advisors, they act like they know shit.
They don't.
They don't know. No.
Pomp and circumstance.
No, remember Wolf of Wall Street?
Smoke and mirrors.
They don't know exactly. They don't know what the stock's going to do.
Yeah.
But compound interest, that's such a simple idea.
And the idea back to, because I need to get this out or it'll drive me crazy, lawsuits will be the thing that destroy these corporations, because eventually they'll either one of two things. Sherman Antitrust Act was going to have to be enacted for some of these companies because they become monopolizing conglomerates. They say they're different, but it's all under one parent company.
Yeah, antitrust is tricky.
Or that enough people are going to get hurt or killed working for them, or enough tragedies happen to where they're going to lose the company. It has to be that way because the lawsuits are going to be so heavy and so high. And now when that happens for either side of that, I may not be around, but I think that those are very realistic ends to certain things. And then again, it goes back to the idea of why I think there's no coin shortage. Start fresh.
The weird thing to me about lawsuits, and because lawsuits are based on what laws are in place, they rule based on what laws are on the books, and laws are made by stupid congressmen. So, and to me, technology has always,
and celebrities for whatever reason have just as much weird clout when it comes to policy. Like, go fuck yourself.
Well, to me, what I was gonna say is laws lag the technology. The technology gets there, and then the legislator's like, "Oh shit, we got to regulate it." So, that's an interesting. I don't know how lawsuits will come in because it'll be based on whatever laws are there.
But there's spirit and letter of the law. If you can find the spirit of the law, you can find,
for
find
sure.
the letter of the
like
law.
Like antitrust stuff.
Too.
Yeah.
Antitrust stuff is very simple. They say, well, these assets are like the same thing. It's the same concept. Just because it's not there for the digital side, but if you apply the digital side to work in the real world, if you implore those and imply those things to work in the real world, thus it's covered. Like, by the way, guys, I passed the LSAT and I passed the bar. I have some idea of law. I'm not just a YouTube Oakley's researcher. I've had to learn this shit and try to keep up with it. I'm not good at it, but
yeah.
I don't know, man. This has been a very intense conversation.
No, I know. I actually got more. I don't know why. I think I'm grumpy on Sunday morning, or just like
I'm easy on Sunday morning, man. Temptation?
No, I just
tempted. Not tempted.
Wait, do we have to stop?
No, we don't have to. I'm going for a subject change.
Oh yeah.
Before we go down like a hateful rabbit hole.
No, it's not.
We're mad at each other, or I'll be irrationally mad for no reason. I don't know. You want to talk about Joe Rogan and the hit job that's going on for him?
I don't know.
Or is that tired? Or is that whole conversation tired at this point?
Well, it kind of ties back to everything because Rogan,
200 million, not 100 million, not counting his pockets.
Yeah, yeah. How did that just came out, right? Because I don't know why did it come out because they're like, he's twice the asshole we thought he was for money.
All right,
just a further way to discredit him or something.
So let me say three things about the Rogan thing. I'm gonna say three things about it. Argue, agree, disagree. I don't give a shit. My opinion. First thing, for the most part, I don't like his fans because a lot of his fans are super obsessive, pseudo intellectual bro types.
Yeah,
not my kind of people.
Yeah.
Not saying they're all good people. They're all bad people. It's just not people I associate with.
Yeah.
And they're as hyper into him as I am into the things that I'm into. And I know I grasp that concept, but it's just like it's not for me. That's the first thing. Second thing, the thing that I appreciate about Joe Rogan more than anything else is that he will bring challenging people on to have a conversation. And he may not know a damn thing about what they're talking about. He may not have any concept.
Yeah.
And he's going to say dumb things that people and he admits that he's like, I'm not the smartest guy in the world.
He's not the smartest guy in the world. I actually don't think he's that smart.
The fact that he's open about that and he's bringing challenging things and challenging ideas on a regular basis is far more intriguing than bringing up the idea of the soundbite culture.
Yeah.
Again, I don't agree with a lot of people he's had on there, but I've listened to a couple episodes for people that I know or people that I know of, like when he got Ray Capo on there, but he only talked about his yogi stuff. When he's had Liam Harrison on, these are like the most recent episodes that I listened to. Muay Thai fighter out of England. like I will listen to those because that's more into my part of the world.
Yeah.
In my wheelhouse, so I'll listen to those things. I'm like, okay, I don't agree with that, but that was a cool conversation. It was a cool way to kill a couple hours. And the third thing about Joe Rogan that like I don't necessarily like care about, respect, but also don't hate is that he was a fucking open micer.
Yeah.
Who built his own niche world.
Yeah.
That's his.
Yeah.
And you don't have to agree with the things he said. And I don't agree with a lot of things he said. He's used terms and language that people don't like, and that's fine.
Uh-huh.
That's fine. But the problem with the hit job that's going on with him right now, and this is going to become more and more common, not just in the world of comedy, but in the world of entertainment. We have put certain people, and I'm using Joe Rogan as an example. Again, I'm not shitting on him. They've put him at such a high pedestal that he has more influence over the masses than like mainstream media.
He does.
Because people have lost faith in the mainstream media, and they may see this common man just espousing ideas.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the COVID thing and the misinformation, if our own scientists didn't have all the information, if our own scientists said, "Look, we don't know what we're doing," and Joe Rogan said, "Maybe try this." We had a former president saying, "Drink bleach, sunlight." You can't be as mad at Joe Rogan just because he said that. Ivermectin, fine, it's fine. Yeah. In all reality, it's fine. And the racial slurs that he used, which were years ago.
Yeah. I didn't ever see that video, actually.
I did. And I want to get to that portion of it as well. When he made a comment about Philadelphia, he immediately was like, oh, that was fucked up. Like, he immediately caught himself and walked it back. It was not a good comment. I don't need to repeat it. You can find that out there if you want to. It's not for me to report on. The racial slurs that he used were a butchered hit job by I think it was India RE, who either promoted the video or put it together. Now, India RE is an artist who has music on Spotify.
Wait, so we're going hold on. Were you going to go on another point?
I've already hit my 3 points with Rogan.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I already hit my 3
I was going to respond to like point one, but before.
This is the other big part of the hit job.
Okay.
Part of it is where he is.
Oh, where the Spotify thing. Okay, sorry.
For the Spotify thing. This is the other part of the hit job. When they finally came out this past week about how much they actually gave him, Spotify artists were mad. Now, Neil Young was mad. Joni Mitchell was mad. But here's the thing. Spotify does pay its artists very little. The part that I think India RE wanted to point out, other than the fact that he said racial slurs, was you pay your artists so little. You pay them so little. But you'll pay for this person whose content that is being created is literally what we're doing right now.
Right, but the reason they're paying more is because Rogan just has more influence. He has more people. It's worth more. It makes perfect sense. He made a lot.
But like when you had Neil Young, when he made his big statement,
dude, Neil Young, that was the funniest shit I've ever seen. Neil Young,
he went from Spotify to Amazon. Follow the money. Keep on rocking in the free world. Keep on rocking in the free world.
I just thought that was funny. I just thought it was hysterical that Neil Young thought he was relevant. Neil Young's not that relevant.
He is to a certain audience, but like
but the size of that audience relative to Rogan, to me, it was like old man screaming at a cloud.
Yeah, but I mean,
or windmill, pick your.
Yeah, but even then, like if you look at like a lot of the artists, especially like Neil Young, that come from that world, the older artists, they digital rights were not a big thing when they even at their heyday.
Right. And this is the whole record thing.
Yep. And then when they signed the deal for digital distribution, they got fucked again but at the same time they're like, no one's gonna buy. They're gonna physically go to shows. They're gonna buy physical products at those shows. They're gonna pay for the experience of seeing the music live, and that has changed not just because of COVID, but just in general, because a lot of the population that was more into that music has been, their time, the ravages of time got them.
Right.
But even modern artists are still having the same issue.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard as any artist to monetize and be fairly compensated. That's a really hard thing.
And that's why like
I see some of the
and that was the bigger point that
What I do think is interesting, if we examine like Rogan, like you said, he liked the podcast, how he was an open micer, and then like it's cool to me how he didn't have a goal. Like he talks about that a lot. Like he didn't try to make the world; it just became that.
Yeah.
because he was just an average guy having like people
challenging conversations.
Yeah, people on it, and like somehow people listen to it, which is just a weird thing to me. How that is the biggest threat to these corporations who want to control the narrative or the mainstream media. It's like they don't want to hear the soundbite culture. They want to hear a long form conversation by a freaking idiot stand-up comedian.
Yeah, with a triple digit but not high triple digit IQ, wanting to learn. And
yeah, like how is that needing to be shut down? That's why I like don't understand, because like even the controversial guests he had on that talked about but
he's had other controversial guests, but not just
was it the vaccine one that got him in trouble?
Those
the
were
most?
a couple
it kind
of them.
Feels like
those were a couple of them.
Like it was still an hour, like 3 hour long conversation, and he was fighting him on every point, and also like trying to fact check stuff. I don't know.
I think the
I could see how it could be perceived as dangerous if it was totally wrong, and he gets 100 million people to do something.
Yeah, I think that's the Messiah, the potential Messiah complex.
Great power, great responsibility, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the idea of him being up on that pedestal is probably a bigger threat to certain entities versus him like sitting here. If he was in the room right now, like I wouldn't consider him a threat. You know what I mean? Because we're having a conversation.
You could kick my ass. You could too.
No, I'm not even going on. I'm just going like just a back and forth.
No, for sure.
Conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
But NDRE is right that artists are marginalized, that are constantly creating content because it costs a lot of money to create music. In comparison to a podcast, once you have your equipment, you might have to upgrade here and there. But as far as like creating music, it does require more to it than just a podcast. And I know that she spoke especially for marginalized groups, that how certain artists are paid less. And there is a weird racial component to the way Spotify pays out to certain artists. So
shouldn't it just be based on how often their music is played?
Stop making sense. Stop making sense.
Well, I thought it was a meritocracy, kind of like.
Stop making sense. It's not. Stop making sense.
That's just
There's that common sense thing. Thomas Paine would be proud.
It's capitalism, baby.
It's not capitalism. It's
basic.
And I don't hate capitalism. But we're not in a capitalist society.
No, you're right. We're not. It's crony capitalist.
It's a technocracy. Is what it's really. It's what's been since the 90s. Who'd have thought that the guy that talks about suicide and broken dicks would actually have this kind of depth to him? And cats. Love cats. But yeah, dude, there's like right now it's a hit job on Joe Rogan, and I understand the certain aspects,
which is crazy because it's, to me, what is Joe Rogan? Like if you analyze, he is a forum of free thinking individuals talking about
something.
Shit. So that's a threat?
It is. Because people
talking about ideas is a threat?
Yeah, it is.
That is crazy.
It's not crazy. It's because
it's scary.
That's a better. We've allowed it to happen.
This is a threat.
Yeah. Like honestly, if employers heard my thoughts on unions and why I think certainly I'd be fired.
People having discourse and talking to each other is a threat. Like they just want people to be like
8 hours. That's why we go to school. 8 hours.
People just want to be
8 hours. You sit your 8 hours, and then you can do what you want, but only within a certain limit. Come here and do your 8 hours.
I wonder how much of a threat it is to organized religion too.
I mean, it depends on
people
how big
start
it gets.
thinking for themselves and stop.
I mean, it's tax free, so you can keep all your money.
Yeah, dude, that's the other thing about religion that's interesting.
Start a cult?
Start a cult?
I mean, I'm sorry, a religion.
Sure.
All right, we'll figure it out after the podcast.
I want to create I did this instead of killing myself metaverse.
All right.
And some coin.
We can do that. We'll toss a coin.
I'm gonna look into it.
No, but like the Rogan hit job. Here's what it is, and this goes back to what I started off at the beginning as far as like having a left and right. We're now in a lot of ways third position politics for both sides. Third position politics usually goes towards
I think
white supremacists.
I think the Democrat Republican framework is so freaking old.
Neoliberal corpo fascist is what the left is as far as their third position.
Yep.
And the right is like
white supremacy.
Turner Diaries, white supremacist, true third position politics.
Dude, that's scary, man. And
those are and that's what we have. Those are our choices.
I don't like
that as a choice. My choice is fucking get rid of both of them, start fresh. I mean, honest to God, I don't hate the idea of a government. I don't hate the idea of of law.
Rule of law. Yeah.
I don't hate those ideas. I hate the applications of them. I hate how it's been manipulated and perversed over the years to only benefit a few people in comparison.
Yeah, for sure. You're right.
And
You're
this
right.
and like when you get rid of those, when you abolish those things and start fresh, you actually have the potential to recraft the world to where everyone can have. I'm not saying everyone's going to be a fucking millionaire, but they can have a better life.
Everybody's going to have their own house in the metaverse.
Yeah. Second life.
Everybody's going to have their own digital apartment.
I mean,
and my brain's going to be in a petri dish forever.
I mean, I don't want to live forever. Like I said, I either want to go at peace.
If you could export your consciousness into a digital world, would you?
The digital world doesn't need my fucking consciousness. The real world barely.
Dude, it could be so sweet, bro. It could be like PS5, like but better graphics.
The PS5 that I can never get. That I've been rallying about for almost 2 years.
Everybody's gonna get PS5s.
For those that want to know more about my PS5 joke, come to some comedy.
We're going to be in the metaverse, bro. We're going to have stand-up shows in the metaverse. Their digital identity is going to be verifiably there. They're going to be laughing in real life.
No.
Dude, yeah. There's going to be a digital radio room.
Listen, I'm very much in the Frank Reynolds approach to life and death as far as the idea of being in a metaverse. When I'm dead, just throw me in the trash. You know what I mean? That's just really what I'm dead.
That's what Louis' mom said. What do you want to do? Just burn it.
Yeah,
burn it.
Yeah, let me. I've my time's been good on this world. I've done a lot of cool things. I've done some not cool things, more cool than uncool. I've helped a lot of people versus hurt.
How old is Jeff Bezos?
Well, lizard people age slower than regular people, so I don't know. I don't know what sinister
like in his
cabal he's
60s.
a part of, but
so we'll be able to watch him get to his 80s. I'm really curious. I'm really curious how these billionaires are going to go because technology is evolving. Like they're investing in longevity shit, HGH. I'm really curious to see. Like,
I hope they don't.
I hope they
don't.
They're going to.
I hope
this is happening, bro.
I still hope they don't. I mean, I'm sure they'll make clones or doppelgangers, just like they did with John Lennon. Another conspiracy. The winged beetle. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that may be a possibility
because they're not going to go quietly, bro. They're not going to just age gracefully like a good person. Like they're gonna like push back against their own mortality.
They're going to be like 70, getting boob jobs.
Because think about it, if you have billions of dollars, they're probably paying scientists to figure out like, okay, how do I keep myself on this planet longer? Like,
more people need to accept their time is only finite. But honestly, if you accept that your time on this planet is finite,
I don't want to though.
Here's why I do. And we're getting close to the end because I do need to have a cigarette, and I'm not fucking taking that offer, you son of a bitch. I got eBay stuff up and people are lowballing me on my stuff. I'm very angry about it. I don't want my time to be longer. I want it to be finite. I want to impact the people that I can, and then at the end they take from me whatever they take from me, and hopefully take the good parts and explain that there were bad parts and try to eliminate those for how they continue. That's how you build a history. It's how you build an actual legacy. It's not based purely on like finances. It's based on the experience that you have and what you pass on.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating that people don't want to see that. They want to see it as this idea of like a true eternal existence, and like that sounds like a hell to me. That sounds no different than heaven and hell, but that sounds like an actual hell that you're running towards.
Yeah.
Except that you only have so much time and do good things or as many good things as you can.
Yeah. Part of what makes life really meaningful is the fact that it ends.
Yeah.
If it never ended, it wouldn't be as important what decision you made right now. Like that time constraint makes it so it matters.
Yeah.
But like the reason I'm kidding, obviously. Like I know I have to die. I just don't want to. But
nobody wants to.
Well, I just feel like there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of perspectives. There's a lot of jokes to think up. There's a lot of conversations to have. There's a lot of great stuff and I just love all those aspects of life that like could help you grow in your awareness as a person. Like all that shit's awesome. I don't want that to have to end. Like I love life.
I'm cool with it.
You're like, you ain't. I looked at you and it was like your dead eyes are like
my dead eyes,
dead-eyed stare. That's from a Kenny Powers episode.
It's. Just leave
You're like,
eyes, you jerk,
I
bitch.
hate life. I was like, dude, I love life.
I don't hate it. It's just, I'm weary. I'm tired.
Yeah. Well, dude, just put your brain in a petri dish and export your consciousness.
Why?
You'll be revitalized.
That's a level. That's a level of hubris.
I don't actually.
I know.
I don't want to do that.
But that's just the level of hubris that I will never. Personally
No, I do kind of
understand.
wonder because, like, as you age, like everything, your perspective changes,
Yeah.
and also
Should,
your
at least.
body, like, the reality of life probably sets in differently as you get older.
Because you begin to realize like your importance or lack thereof, or what of yours you want to carry on and what you don't.
Yeah.
And I think that gets overlooked by a lot of people, really by most of society. I think it just gets overlooked on purpose, again, because of like hubris.
Yeah, it is hubris because, like,
Selfishness.
Yeah.
If not hubris, selfishness, which again ties into hubris. But sometimes people are just selfish.
Yeah.
Dude. Like I'm begging for the day where the term cancel culture is gone, and the idea of accountability culture is not just a glib sloganeering way of getting the means to whatever end that you want. I'm waiting, begging for the day. I hope I see it. I probably won't, but I hope I see the day where like the level playing field is there, to where we're not digging up things of the past to kill somebody in their current life. Like I really
like digging up an old tweet or something.
Yeah, like miss me with that. Like here's the deal, and I'll say this very plainly. So if you want to come after me, here's a soundbite for someone. Everything that you're not allowed to say on stage as a comic, or what we're told we're not allowed to say, I have said more than once. It has gotten laughs in different audiences across the board.
Yeah.
And it was because I did it in a way that was, this is me walking into this situation. This is not me causing it. This is not me saying these things. This is not me committing those acts. This is not me showing that behavior. This is me strictly reporting it. And this is important because if you report a behavior or you report something that was said and you do it in a totally unbiased or as unbiased as humanly possible way, people will still get mad at you. Like, no, here's what happened. Well, you can't say that. Listen, I have to report it as I saw it. Otherwise, I'm hiding the fact of what happened. And that's part of the biggest problem that we're facing now as far as the
don't be afraid
aspect.
Of any speech.
I mean, and this goes back to like a couple weeks ago at Coffee Underground, I went full edgelord in what I was saying.
Did you offend somebody?
No, I was actually very preachy and boring, as I was told. Like I got some laughs.
Who told you?
Craig. I was like, how was it? He's like, it was preachy and boring, and it was not like you, but I get what you were trying to do. If you had some more laughs in there, it'd be a little more effective.
I like when Craig just...
Yeah, and I don't get
We're
mad.
going to have Craig on soon.
Good.
And he's got to get settled with his new house and stuff, but...
Yeah, but like...
I like when he just levels an opinion. He had some stuff.
Yeah, he's very poignant. He's very smart, and he's not hurting feelings. He's like, here's what it was, and I trust that you. He'd said it in a way like, I trust you as an adult to know why I'm saying this. I'm like, oh yeah, shit, that makes perfect sense. I ain't mad, and he was right. I think the idea of like being a provocateur, being some sort of iconoclast, being an edgelord. Most of it is just done now out of shock value.
Yeah.
There's no intent behind it. There's no real context. It's just to say it. And then they go, well,
Or because you think it's fun.
Yeah, because you're an ass, because you're a fucking sociopath or an asshole. I mean, I've said things that realistically, like, I don't know if I'd do them again outside of album recordings. And they're like, well, you said this. I'm like, yeah, I wrote that joke 15 years ago. Here's why. Pay attention to everything that led up to what I said and everything afterwards. Don't just pick out one thing. Because if you know me as a person, or if you know my comedy, you know that I'm never punching down in that term.
Yeah, for sure.
And if comedy is supposed to be some form of truth, report the whole fucking truth, whether it makes you look good or not. That honesty and that self-disclosure and that self-awareness and being able to put yourself in check all at the same time while doing it is far more important than just saying something like edgy for edgy's sake. Like that to me is weird. And that hurts the art form. That hurts art in general, whether it's like a painting, whether it's music, whether it's comedy, whether it's the written word. If you are saying things or doing things just to provoke without a real intent behind it, you know what I mean? Unless you're trying to say something bigger, it's a lot harder for me personally to take it seriously, or the rest of the world. And there are some people that
well, to me, like it's just, is it funny?
See that
people laugh. Is it funny?
That's a part of the whole package. There needs to be more to it if you're going.
I don't think so.
In that direction. Here's why I do.
I mean,
because this is a good topic. This is a good subject to end on. I think.
Yeah. If people laugh at it, they're feeling safe enough to laugh at it. They know you're kidding.
And that, I'm glad you said that. They know that you're joking. It comes down to that.
And the way you establish that is different. Like you could establish it by your whole persona.
Yeah.
You could establish it by your tone.
Yeah.
By, if you said, I don't even know, man. I know what you're getting. Like, I know. I feel like you could tell the difference between somebody being edgy to be an asshole and somebody saying something borderline inappropriate playfully that's like not true.
Yeah, it's because it's holding up a mirror of how ugly the real reality of it is. They're showing that they're the mirror that they're holding up to the audience. Like, this is the ugly reality we live in. I have to be glib about it, otherwise I'll lose my mind. And true people, like true subversives, true provocateurs.
Can you give me an example of a provocateur that's like not good? That like
Alex Jones. No,
Alex Jones.
I mean, I'll use one. I'll use one that
he's not really a comedian though. I'm trying to think of a comedian that's like off base. I can't think of one because comedians that are successful have found a way to toe the line appropriately.
Amy Schumer. No, I'm just kidding. I just don't like.
Because she's a woman.
No, because she's not funny. Because she's a rapist.
I shouldn't have said that. It's so stupid.
No, because she's a rapist.
Is she?
Yeah, she bragged about raping a dude, and then like no one got really mad at her.
That's pretty awful.
Yeah. But like true subversives, true iconoclasts, true people that like are using edgier things to educate and to hold up that mirror are far more respectful, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because they're like, look, here's the reality of it. Like it or don't, but here's the reality of it. I don't care how you feel about it, but you need to see either my perspective or the actual harsh reality of things. And we've moved in the world of comedy so far away from that. Mm-hmm. That it all has to be, again, it fits into a prepackaged set of parameters. And that's the biggest problem. And because you'll have the extremes of like the clean comedy, the Christian comedy. Yeah. You'll have all that, or even like the lower end of PG-13. And then you'll have the comedy that's purposely offensive, not to gain anything or to push any knowledge or to show these are the bad things that are. It's purposely offensive for the sake of being offensive.
Yeah.
And it kind of denigrates the actual art of comedy. And again, that's both extremes. It destroys the actual art and the craft and the important facets of stand-up. And that's why I don't respect a lot of straight-up edgelord types.
Yeah.
Because, like, what are you saying? What the fuck are you saying? Like, you're saying things that are offensive to be... you're making a point. What's your point? Well, I'm proving a point. What's your point? Tell me your point. They never have that substance to back up that style. So that's why I get very weird about...
Like Jeselnik?
No,
like Jeselnik?
No, he actually has points.
I don't know if I like Jeselnik. I don't know what points he makes.
To me,
he's kind of a dick.
He points out hypocrisy. The big point, the underlying tone of a lot of things. Again, this is my perspective. People can tell me I'm wrong. He points out hypocrisy in modern society in everything that he has done. Right, wrong, or indifferent, from my perspective, he's always showing hypocrisy from previous ways of life, as far as like, you don't live with someone till you get married, because that was one of his things about dating, and some of his early stuff about religion, about how he describes the horrible nature of things, such a glib and flippant manner. That's also very charming and disarming while he goes into it. He's just reporting the hypocrisy of the way people communicate. They say, I really care, thoughts and prayers. Well, here's what your thoughts and prayers get. You get this verbal response from me because you're reflecting the same approach to fixing the problem. Whereas mine, i.e. Jezelnik, is a joke. Yours is a hashtag. Yeah. And that's kind of the way I see it. Was I just fucking eloquent right there? Awesome.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on things. I'm sure I'll be back on to give more thoughts about things.
Yeah.
I like coming on here because people don't see this side of me in a lot of ways. So that's cool.
Yeah. Well, dude, thanks for coming on. You're the first guest to come on twice.
Yeah. Technically, if you combine the two podcasts, I have beaten Todd's time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Todd A. Davis, coming for the crown, son.
Yeah, dude. And we got political. Part of that was because I don't know. Just
because no one else talks to you about it in the comedy group. I'm willing to bet nobody else in the comedy scene wants to challenge your politics.
I don't like to talk about politics a lot, but I just had all that metaverse stuff in my brain from yesterday, and then, yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's okay to explore ideas with people, whether you agree with them or not. And without destroying
I think we
them.
agree on way more than we disagree on.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Oh yeah. There's some big things that we straight up disagree on, but like I'd say 90% of the smaller to little things we agree on. So I mean, again, I was speaking of Joe Rogan. I had a newer comic tell me this past Wednesday that I was the Joe Rogan of Greenville, South Carolina. I didn't know how to feel about that.
Are you? Well, yeah. You don't even like Joe Rogan.
More indifferent than anything else. But like, I mean. Cool. Thanks. I guess it's a compliment. Does this mean I'm going to be worth $300 million on Tidal? Is that how this is going to work for me? That I'm going to get a big podcast on Bandcamp? Yeah. I'm going to make a shitload of money. Okay, I'll take it. It's fine. For 1 year anniversary, this is how I'm spending it. The wife and I are doing stuff after this podcast.
Oh yeah. You got to get over the wife.
Yeah. That's the reason why I was checking time, and because my phone keeps blowing up for lowball offers on the records I'm selling.
All right.
So.
We'll follow Adam. I'll put all your stuff again. People.
All right. My eBay name is GetSick828. My Instagram name is GetSick828. My Twitter name is GetSick828. There's a theme here. My Xbox name is VocalTest864, but I don't have a mic. My PlayStation name is God Framed Me or God Framed Me 666, depending on how I feel that day.
Dude, you're in gaming. You're totally gonna be in the metaverse, bro.
I'm playing Session. I'm playing skateboarding and snowboarding games.
That's gonna be its own world.
Don't. Where's the digital gun so I can blow my digital brains out? Where's the digital community gun? I need it now.
I need to go to digital therapy.
Yeah, Stone Grown Comedy is where you can find about shows. I made my own fake production company that I'm going to reveal right now on the podcast. It's called Shorts and a Hoodie Productions because it's just a dickhead like trolling fun little jab at some of my friends that you can't wear shorts on stage. I'm working on a record label called RSS, and my secret group is on Facebook is going to be called The Feed when that finally decides to happen. I have a TikTok that I have not given the name out publicly because I don't have enough content, but all it's going to be me is like lip syncing hardcore songs to my cats.
You're going to have a TikTok? Do you already have it?
Yeah.
Do you put it on here? No. Not yet? Okay.
I don't have enough content. That's why I'm very quiet about it. I also don't give enough of a shit about it to make it like an active thing.
I have a TikTok. I hate it.
Yeah, I have adult-sized genitals. and I'm not trying to fuck 18-year-olds. I don't know why I'm on TikTok. What else? What other socials? I don't know, man. Like, you can always come to my house, or like, you could go to the Hugs and Hardcore page on Facebook, which season 3 is starting in March. I always take the first 2 months off to kind of rebuild and revamp. I think I figured out how I'm going to change the show around, and then I'll start putting that up on platforms for stuff. And
nice.
Like, if you want to learn Muay Thai, go to Raja Academy. I'm a coach. I can teach you Muay Thai under the instruction of all the crews there, because they're the ones that teach me. So you're learning from people that know more than me. So it's not an arrogance thing. I don't know, man. It's catch me.
Catch me outside.
Catch me hanging around like Aaron Hernandez. I don't know. Is that a dark way to end the podcast?
That's fine with me.
All right. Thanks for watching. Thank you, David's parents, for raising a good good kid who tolerates people like me.
No, thanks for putting up with my combative bull. We got. Like, I was just like,
I'm not because
Biden.
Yo, by the way, no president really dictates anything. They're a figurehead for whatever the populace wants at the time. The real people that run the country are the fucking corporations that actually need to be removed. Thank you. Good night.
All right, thanks, everybody. See you.